Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here alongside the young boy Josh Smith. We have a packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking about the new beginning in Sapporo, night 1 and night 2, as well as giving our predictions for the new beginning in Osaka. We're going to be covering all the latest news happening in the world of New Japan. But before we dive into the show, just give some quick shout outs. Shout out to Kyle. He was the winner of the Social Suplex Podcast Network's t-shirt giveaway. So thank you, Kyle, for rating and review. And thanks everybody else who left ratings and review. But Kyle was the winner, and he's getting himself a Rusev Day shirt.
Rusev Day.
So every day will be Rusev Day for Kyle Moores in South Carolina. Also want to give.
Is he going to be at Mania?
I don't know. I think he is.
Yeah, we gotta hit that dude up.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Mike Ferg. He's the guy that's been doing all the logos and graphics for Social Suplex, and he just made us a very cool logo for Social Suplex that we're going to be making some t-shirts with.
Yo, that logo is fire.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the kind of reaction we get from other parties on that design. And also a shout out to Nathan Sartain, I think that's how you say your name. He's Sartain. I don't know. He's the newest Social Suplex columnist.
Dang, Jeremy. He's one of our columnists. You don't know how to say his name?
Dude, I just met this guy. He just emailed me like last week. Yo. And he dropped his first column on Jay White and David Finlay.
Yeah, that's a really good column, actually.
Comparing their kind of careers and kind of asking the question, like, why are they not on the same level? So check that out on socialsuplex.com. Also, something new for Social Suplex, you can subscribe to us and you will get the columns and podcasts sent directly to your email. Go to socialsuplex.com/subscribe.
So I can get this sent to my email directly?
Yes, directly.
That'll keep me more on track, I think.
All right, Josh. So like I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be talking about new beginning in Sapporo.
Yes.
2-night show. A lot of stuff went down. There was 3 big title changes.
Let me just start by saying that this has been a 1 week of wrestling overload. Considering like we had both New Japan New Beginning shows, spoiler alert, we watched other products too. We also watched the NXT Takeover. We watched the Royal Rumble. We were at an indie show last week. What show was that? Was that Ben's show?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Our friend of the show and Social Suplex, Ben Schaefer, made his debut for FTW as Jimmy Flips.
Yeah, we were at the FTW show, which actually pulled in a really good indie house, which kind of was surprising.
Yeah, special guest appearance from Mick Foley.
Yeah, we saw Mick Foley. We saw other wrestlers.
Saw Jimmy Flips.
And then, this weekend we were at 2 indie shows. We were at the we're at the FIP show at the Orpheum in Tampa.
Yeah, we saw Darby Allin.
Yo, that Darby Allin match was really good. Yeah, we saw Darby Allin wrestle, a bunch of other guys, and then we were at NXT Largo last night, and then that plus like other wrestling viewing. It's been a jam-packed couple weeks.
We've watched a lot of wrestling. You can say that we're getting prepared for New Orleans.
Yeah, we're trying to build up our stamina.
All right, so new beginning in Sapporo. First title change. We saw Tanahashi versus Suzuki in the main event of night 1. Suzuki was able to defeat the Ace and become the new Intercontinental Champion. What do you think about this match, Josh?
Okay, so we're going to start off with the big guns now.
Right.
So I thought that this match was truly incredible. I really, 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 really liked this match. It might have been my favorite match of the weekend, and that's really saying something with the quality of matches that were out there. I don't think it was the best match of the weekend, but for New Japan, it definitely was. It was an incredible match. I mean, some of the things that really just stuck out right off the bat was Suzuki came out, no goons.
That's right, no seconds.
So that was like kind of a big deal. Just the fact that he expected to be able to beat Tanahashi, and why shouldn't he? The man was broken down. I mean, we've talked about before, torn bicep, freaking
knee injury,
his back's messed up, his hips are messed up, his neck is messed up. So I mean,
yeah, Don Callis had a great line at the beginning of the match. He was like, if I was Tanahashi, I would try to keep my injuries away from Suzuki, but he has so many, that's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, so they worked a really smart match. This was a true testament to how good Minoru Suzuki and Tanahashi can be when it comes to in-ring psychology and like ring generalship, because they constructed a match where Tanahashi is not even maybe, who knows, 50, 60% of what he can be. I mean, he's really, really beaten down, and they were still able to work a style match centered around those injuries in a way to where they delivered what will ultimately end up being one of the best matches of the year, using those injuries to tell the story of what was going on. This was the first match they've had since that famous series of matches they had in 2012. They had that 5-star match at King of Pro Wrestling. They also wrestled at the G1 that year, as well as Wrestle Kingdom. And all the matches they've ever had together were incredible. So, I mean, there was a lot of history going into this match, plus the attack angle that they did at New Year's Dash this past year.
Right.
Really set this up in a big way. So, what were your thoughts, Jeremy? What were your expectations going into this match?
Honestly, I really didn't know what to expect going into this match. I mean, these guys have great chemistry from their previous matches, and I was expecting a good match. I didn't know exactly what their game plan was going to be, but I liked this match a lot. A lot of great in-ring psychology, attacking the body parts, the injured body parts. It was pretty much almost like a battle of submissions. Tana was, he always works the leg, the dragon screw. He's trying to set up the Texas cloverleaf, even though Don Callis called it a sharpshooter, because he said that every hole.
Dude.
He's like, I'm from Canada. Every hole like that's a sharpshooter. Bret Hart's the greatest wrestler ever.
I didn't catch him saying that.
He said on Killing the Town.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he's like, that's a sharpshooter.
Sure.
Every move like that, shooter. Bret Hart.
That's something I want to point out in these two shows. I think that Don Callis and Kevin Kelly are amazing.
Oh man!
And their storytelling is great, and getting the characters over and the backstory is great. But one thing that they do flub up on a lot, and I mean all the time, I catch it, is they call moves by the wrong names a lot. Like there was one point where someone was getting put in the STF, and Don Callis was like, he's got him in the crossface.
Yeah.
And I was like, he called the Texas Cloverleaf a shooter. There's a couple times Kevin Kelly calling stuff by the wrong name. I was just like, I'll give them a pass because they're pretty entertaining, but they need to brush up on some of these moves. I mean, they've been doing this too long and been in the business too long to be like missing. I would understand if it was like someone's signature hold and they called it the wrong thing, but they're calling stuff by like basic moves that are well established.
Everybody knows the cloverleaf.
Right.
But anyway, Tana, he was working the cloverleaf, trying to work the legs. Suzuki was going after the injured knee as well. I think at some points going after the arm too. Yeah, he seemed to start off attacking the arm in the beginning of the match, and that was kind of the story. And then, Tanahashi, what they built really well too was Tanahashi didn't have to actually do too much in this match, and all he had to do was kind of fire up with his signature spots, with hope spots, like to come back. And it's not to say he didn't get no offense, but I would literally say it's probably 75-25 Suzuki to him. It was a domination by Suzuki. And some people sometimes think in order to have a great match, it needs to be some sort of 50-50 exchange, so that whoever's going to win is in doubt. But that's not always the case.
This is very reminiscent of last year's match that Suzuki had
with Okada.
Yeah. At New, but this was almost way more dominant.
Right, and Suzuki had Tana trapped in a lot of submissions, a lot of knee bars. I mean, and Tana would be in those holds for a very long time.
Before getting one thing I just wanted to express that stuck out to me was just how scary Suzuki comes off at the top of his game. Like, he is just so legitimate looking and feeling in his domination of wrestlers that you're like, this dude should be the IWGP champion.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he comes off. And we've said it before, like, he uses his goons a lot in his matches, but he doesn't need to. He just likes to.
Yeah.
But this kind of match shows, like, how dominant he can be.
And I was thinking once he hit the Gotch pile driver, thought he was gonna go for the cover there, but
that was an awesome part.
He wanted to make Tanahashi tap out. He locked back in the knee bar.
They kept teasing, that he was going for the Gotch, and the story almost felt like if he got the Gotch, the match would be over. And Tanahashi did a great job getting out of it numerous times, but when he finally put it on, you're like, it's over.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's gonna go for the pinfall.
Nah.
No.
Nah, player.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to put Tana out of business. Going to lock in that knee bar. I want the submission victory.
For those of you who are listening who are not New Japan fans, some matches that maybe are kind of reminiscent but maybe not even done as well. This kind of reminded me a bit of like Brock versus Cena from SummerSlam in, 2013? No, 2014?
I think so, yeah.
Or even the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match they had at NXT with the ref stoppage. I mean, when sometimes you can tell an incredible story when you have a dominant heel like this. Even kind of remind me of Vader Flair a little bit. Like, this was just, it was awesome. But yeah. Oh, one thing that stuck out to me. Did you catch that drop kick that
Suzuki did? Yes.
That drop kick was freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude, he killed him with that drop kick.
And Tanahashi, we all know he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, maybe the greatest wrestler of all time. His selling and the fiery spots that he would come up with, you almost started to believe that he could turn it around. But then Suzuki just did such an incredible job, like cutting him off. So then, like, let's get to the end of the match. Obviously, he started going for the knee bar, basically, and then transitioning to the heel hook. And what were your thoughts when that was happening?
I was like, man, is Tanahashi gonna tap out? I was waiting for the tap out when he had them just hooked in there. I mean, he was hooked in there, and like I mentioned this to you after I first watched it, I was like, obviously it's a work, but Suzuki is so good. He made it look like he was really wrenching that knee bar. That's what I was expecting Tanahashi to tap out at any second.
Yeah, well, when he started turning for the
heel hook,
Jeremy's got a background in amateur wrestling, but I have a background in like jiu-jitsu and judo, that sort of thing. And one thing that separates a worked heel hook from a real heel hook, when you're executing a real heel hook, and those of you who watch the match, go back and pay attention to this. In order to really execute a heel hook, the idea is that you wrap your legs around someone's thigh so that it's isolated. What you're doing is you're attacking the knee, so you wrench up on the heel of the shin so that the shin turns one way and the heel remains the other way, so that you basically, it's one of the most dangerous things. Many rolling and jiu-jitsu tournaments have outlawed that move in general because it's so dangerous, because you can tear every ligament in the knee, the MCL, PCL, ACL, the meniscus, the patella, all of it. You can just destroy someone's knee. If you've ever seen, like, for instance, Ruzmar Palhares from UFC fame, and he's one of the dirtiest fighters of all time. He's like the master of that. He's destroyed guys' knees over the years. So, but one thing with Suzuki, because he's a real shooter, he knows how to do this. If you notice, he'll wrap his legs around, but he won't isolate the thigh. He will keep his legs apart, basically. So it looks like he's doing it. And as he's wrenching on the ankle, Tanahashi's turning his hips over, and so the ankle's turning, and the ankle's probably definitely in some sort of pain. Although he has working boots on, and they give you some support, and they protect you to some degree from actually having your ankle torn. Plus, you can actually, this is something a lot of people don't probably know. You can turn the boot without actually turning the foot and making it look worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
So these guys are master workers, but it looked so nasty.
Yeah, I was just like, dude, Tana, please tap out, please.
Yeah, I thought Tanahashi was definitely going to tap out. And then it started getting kind of gratuitous at one point. Yeah. That was like one of the only maybe like drawbacks was, for me, someone having... Now, I try to separate wrestling from like shoot fighting because I know they're not the same thing. There was a point in life where I stopped watching wrestling because I couldn't like
separate them.
I couldn't separate them, man. I remember watching a fight one time with back in TNA. I just turned it on. I hadn't been watching wrestling, and Kurt Angle was in a street fight with Abyss, and Abyss is hitting him in the head, and Kurt's just got his arms down by his like sides, and he's just like turning back, taking the punches, and I'm like, put your hands up, Kurt. Just protect your face, man. Like, that was the kind of stuff that I couldn't like separate from. But now, like, it is what it is. I understand it. They're two different art forms. But with that being said, I think some moves, for instance, like back in the 80s when shoot style was first starting up and people did not know about ground fighting. I mean, the Gracies hadn't happened, UFC had not happened, the internet had not happened. So in the 80s, like late 80s and in the 90s, when UWF and PWFG and War and all these like shoot promotions were going on, you could get away with doing a heel hook or some other similar move and working it for a while and people buying that the person wasn't tapping out. But in 2018, people that are educated and know what a heel hook is, it's seconds. It only takes a few seconds and it's over. So for him to be in that move for minutes at a time, I don't know. I didn't count, but it seemed like a long time.
It was a long time. And obviously, Tanahashi, he refused to tap out. So Red Shoes had to stop the match and rule that Tanahashi was unable to continue. So Suzuki's your winner, your new IWGP IC champion.
I thought it was brilliant, the finish, because... You know, obviously it seems at this point, and there's a lot of speculation, we don't know how long, but Tanahashi's going away.
Right.
But we have a built-in rematch right away.
So, yeah, they took Tanahashi out on a stretcher, and so it makes you the idea that Tanahashi's supposed to be out for a while. He was pulled off the rest of his February dates, and he's been quietly pulled off the Australia shows. He's still scheduled at this point to be on Supercard of Honor and Rev Pro WrestleMania weekend.
We'll see. We'll talk more about that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, him in the office, they're telling guys that Tanahashi will be ready for WrestleMania weekend.
He doesn't need to be at this point, probably. But, yeah, I just thought, like, the fact that he didn't give up and he didn't tap out is really going to play into the story going forward when when he comes back, because it's like he didn't actually lose, but he did lose, obviously. So that's kind of the brilliance of the ref stoppage. Whereas if Tanahashi had tapped out, there's no doubt in anyone's mind what happened on that night. You know what I mean?
Right.
Although, let's be clear here. This guy was not going to win this match. He was done. The ref stoppage was justified. So, I mean, the story there is that you have a broken down Tanahashi who wasn't at 100%, who got beat by a despicable heel who was out hellbent to destroy him. We'll see what happens when he comes back. But I thought this match was great. I would have rated it probably like 4.5.
Yeah, definitely 4.5 stars. And something I want to mention too, it's been something I thought about and I've heard other people bring up as well. How is this Suzuki title run going to be? We saw last year he had the never openweight title, and his title run wasn't that great.
Oh, no, let's just not say that great. It was one of the biggest disappointments of the year. It was very bad.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but yeah, it was really bad. So at one point, I'm kind of worried, like, how's his IC title run going to be? Seems like his first challenger is going to be Togi Makabe.
Well, yeah, the next night they had a tag match, him and Iizuka, which kill me if I have to watch another Suzuki and Iizuka match.
Oh, my God.
And they were wrestling Hinare and Elgin, in a tag match. And that match was probably one of the... It's so weird that Suzuki went from having the best match of the entire 2-night tour to maybe having the worst match of the 2-night tour. So that kind of maybe answers some of the question you're asking. Yeah. But so at the end of the match, he put the heel hook on Hinare, kind of sold that. Hinare tapped. Then all the Suzuki Goon heels run in and they start attacking Hinare, and it's again, like Suzuki don't need them, but he likes having them around.
It's fun for him.
Yeah, he's
not in the business of putting smiles on people's faces.
Right. What does he say? He's in the business of hurting people or something like that. So yeah, but then Togi Makabe came out, and Togi Makabe at one point suffered the same injury that Hanare had suffered last year, which was the Achilles tear. So they're kind of like, they've kind of built that like trust and bond. They were in the tag tournament together, so he's kind of like a mentor to him.
Right.
And yeah, he came out and ran off all of Suzuki-gun. And he was actually on commentary the night before, and Suzuki, I guess, had mentioned him, like kind of almost like throwing the challenge out to him and anybody else in New Japan. So I guess that's what they're building to.
Yeah, I'm guessing, it's going to be Makabe versus Suzuki at some point for the next IC title defense.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of a single Makabe match that I've enjoyed outside of maybe some Ishii matches, or I think him and Tenzan had a good match at the G1 2 years ago, but that's like, I mean, Togi Makabe, it's been a while since he's been like a top level guy.
Right. So I'm down with Suzuki being the IC champ, but I just hope that we will get to see some great title defenses this year.
I mean, we'll talk more about this, but if his title defenses this year or anything like what his January's been like, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Suzuki mark. When Suzuki's at his best, he's one of the best in the entire business. I mean, he just went into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame this past year, and a lot of people were shocked by that, but I wasn't at all, because
he's the man.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And he's starting to grow the hair back.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, our friends over on One Nation Radio, they're like, oh, he's definitely losing his hair. You don't want that stuff. I'm like, nah, he likes that hair.
Yeah, he's going to get it back.
He's a Yakuza guy.
All right, second title change of the weekend. We had Jay White versus Kenny Omega for the U.S. title. Jay White pulls up the upset victory and defeats Kenny Omega to become the new IWGP US champion. What do you think about this match, Josh? Because there's a lot of people who are kind of, throwing daggers at Jay White and kind of have Jay White under a microscope since he's come back from excursion. So what did you think about this match?
Well, I will say I wish we would have not maybe done a review, but at least predictions before this so that we could have seen where we were at. I will just go on record and say I did think Suzuki was going to beat Tanahashi for the same reasons I thought Jay White was going to beat Tanahashi the month before. The man's broken down, so I assumed at some point very soon he was going to be done. I mean, looking at the kind of shape he was in at New Year's Dash made all the sense in the world. This match, Omega versus White, was probably the one match this weekend where I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Mainly because Jay White coming in and the prominent position they put him in heading into Wrestle Kingdom, it seemed like this guy needs something to establish his character to make him a big deal. But after he lost to Tanahashi, it was like, then they moved him right into a feud with Omega. It's like, well, he has to win. But it didn't really seem like it would make sense for him to win.
Right. I mean, Kenny is pretty much, he is the face of the U.S. expansion.
Right.
And the whole purpose of the U.S. title was to be a part of that U.S. expansion. So you would figure that Kenny would go into Long Beach and go into Supercard of Honor with the U.S. title since he is the face of the U.S. expansion.
Yeah.
So it kind of didn't make sense for Kenny to lose either. So it was a situation where both guys kind of need to win, which also always makes for a great matchup.
Right. That's what makes wrestling great when it's hard to predict. I will say that deep down, I kind of thought ultimately Omega was going to win this match.
Right. I also thought Omega was going to win too.
But I also felt like people would really complain if that happened because White needed the victory so bad here.
Right. I mean, he came in, lost his first big title match, and then New Year's Dash, he's wrestling Kitamura. He pretty much dropped back down to young boy status, and then they did the
I didn't think that. I thought the Kitamura 7-match series, I mean, look at the guys that are in it, Elgin, Juice. I didn't think it was a step down at all. Plus, it was the only singles match on the whole New Year's Dash. So I was like, yeah, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah, but then they did the Omega angle. So, I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a must-win situation for Jay White, or he'd be pretty much dead in the water if he lost two big title matches back-to-back.
I will say this. There's been, like you said, there's been a lot of people putting this guy under a microscope, and I think that, with him coming in without having really been established or built, aside from just the attacks on Tanahashi, everyone was like, he's not ready for that position. And then on a card like Wrestle Kingdom that was so fantastic, where that match kind of underperformed to what maybe a lot of people expected, there has been a lot of like negative reactions to Jay White. I'm not sitting here being a Jay White apologist or saying he's over delivering or he's the greatest superstar that ever came in or anything like that. But I will say this: I think that a lot of the criticism is misdirected because it's not like he is underperforming.
Right. He's having good matches. I mean, Meltzer rated this match 3.75 stars. That's a very good match. Yeah, it wasn't 4.
I would have probably gone like 4.
I was leaning more towards 4. I mean, it wasn't 5 stars. It wasn't 6 stars, but it was still a very good match.
It was a great match.
Yeah,
I liked this match a lot.
Yeah,
and his match with Tanahashi was a very good match too. It was just in the middle of 2 really great matches, and also he was working with a hurt Tanahashi, which still, I mean, yeah, Tanahashi's a great worker, but I thought that they still told a great story in that match. It wasn't like that was a bad match at all. I think that people are expecting him to come in. They want him to be Kenny Omega like night 1.
Right. They want him to be a best bout machine and have 5-star matches every night.
Right. And the other thing too is like a lot of people are just, some fans are not necessarily fans of New Japan like the brand, but they like to just tune in and watch the good matches. So they're more fans of like the athleticism and the competition. But if you're watching this guy's promos and the story that they're telling, this guy's a real game changer.
Dude, yeah, he's going to change the landscape in 2018 with this whole wanting stablemates to go after each other if they have titles.
So I'm not like sitting here saying I think that it's been a home run, but it's like, they're doing a good job with him so far. And I think that it's too soon to call it on him. The other thing too is that a lot of people think like, I don't know, some fans think this is going to be like a gender situation where a guy comes in undeserving and gets pushed to the moon and they're just going to run with him forever. That's not how they operate in New Japan, guys. Trust me, they know how to pull out the shovel when need be. They know how to bury somebody when need be. The deep push can come at any moment. And if he doesn't deliver the way he needs to, he will go down on the cards. Trust me when I say that. Like, trust me.
Yeah, so yeah, we don't have to worry about him being overpushed whatsoever.
I feel like people should be a little more positive about the situation and give him a chance. But let's talk about this match. So it was all White early, like right off the bat. I mean, they started off with great striking exchanges, but then White came in and it was pretty dominant in the like early parts of this match. And then at like around the halfway mark of the match, Omega started taking over. And watching this, we always go back and forth. Who's the best wrestler in the world? Is it Okada? Is it AJ? Is it this guy or that guy? But man, sometimes when you watch Omega, even if this match wasn't like his best match ever, just his movement, his selling, his storytelling.
He's so smooth in the ring, so crisp.
He's just on a different level, man.
Dude, his selling is amazing. The facial expressions, like everything about Omega is just, superb. And he was killing Jay White with V-triggers.
He had a vicious side to him. That when they went to the outside, that spot where he moved the whole people out of the front row and he did the powerbomb on the chairs.
Yeah.
Oh, that was vicious, bro. That was when like the match had already started to like turn up, but that's when the match really like turned up, and I was like, this is getting great. And then White came in, and then those V-triggers started kicking off, and I didn't count them, but it was...
Dude, there was like at least like 5 or 6 of those V-triggers.
It was more than that, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of V-triggers. I mean, it was to the point, like, how is Jay White even, like, continuing? Like, I would figure, like, the match has to be over, like...
Now, White's selling was very good in this match. I will say that. And I thought... Overall, the match was just really good. There wasn't a lot of heat for it, though. I will say that. Like some of the other matches on the card, even like the 10-man tag seemed to get a better crowd reaction. So I don't know that the New Japan fans have fully gotten behind White yet. But yeah, when Kenny and they were hot for Kenny, but maybe not Jay. But man, Kenny started killing him with those V-triggers. And then it started getting like kind of excessive because he hit him with a bunch of them.
Right, like back to back to back.
Yeah, and then he hit him with that J Driller.
Yes.
Oh, man. And I was like, there's no one should be getting up from that in pro wrestling. Right. I don't care what year it is.
That's Jay Briscoe's finish.
So that was like, wow, that should kind of be the end. And then
there was the controversial kick out. A lot of people...
What did he hit him with before that kick out? I think it was a couple Snapdragons.
Yeah, I think it was Snapdragon. And so what happened here, 1, 2, and all of a sudden you see Red Shoes stop the count. Mm-hmm. And for me, when I was watching it, like, I didn't see a kick out because how they cut the camera, like, it cut away from Jay White's shoulders. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not. So you couldn't see that he kicked out. Then they showed the replay, and you saw that he just barely got his shoulder off the mat, and Red Shoes was in position and called it as a kick out.
Yeah, so I saw, for me, it might have been a little different because I know a lot of people watched that live and probably weren't looking for it, whereas I knew it was coming because I hadn't seen it live. I watched it on delay, and I thought it was great, to be honest with you. I thought it was smart, and I'm a big fan of smart wrestling, smart booking. And one thing, I have a criticism of wrestling today where I see all the time where guys' shoulders aren't actually down. Maybe one shoulder is, but they're in position and it's time for the ref to start counting, so they just do. And the ref's not actually looking. And I'm an old school fan, man. I remember the old school days where guys would be pinned and the ref would reach under there.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me in the amateur wrestling background, when you're on your back, the referee's there the whole time. Checking to see if your shoulders are down so he can call the pin. So it was definitely great officiating. I know a lot of times we knock the officiating in New Japan.
Oh, the officiating was still atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, it's still horrible.
Let's not.
No, I'm not giving them like a praise for the whole weekend, but in that one instance, Red Shoes was right there. He saw his shoulder wasn't down and was able to call the kick out.
I thought that too. Another thing that I don't like is when guys kick out and their shoulders don't come off the mat, but their legs kick up, so the ref calls it. So I like it when there's consistency and what the rules are supposed to be, because it's supposed to be a sport. And when his shoulder came up a lot, I saw it, but I'm sure a lot of people weren't looking for it, and the fans were probably confused because one thing with wrestling, everything's supposed to be over dramatized so everyone in the arena can see it. So that might have been why it got the reaction it did. But on the replay, I mean, it was a good call. I thought it was smart, and I liked it. Plus, it added it was different, and it's cool to have something different.
Yeah, it was similar to like when Kevin Owens put his one finger to do the rope break at WrestleMania last year.
One thing I did not like, though, was, and I feel like, Jay White is still trying to find his character. When he was hit, he got hit with like those two kneeled V-triggers, and then he started doing a weird laugh.
Like he was almost like a Joker, like kind of.
I don't know, like he was like Mick Foley in 1992 or something. Like I didn't really dig that so much. I feel like this guy still needs to find his character a bit, but his in-ring work is great. So I thought that was kind of weird.
Right, and I think part of it too, like, I'm sure he's so used to working in babyface and using more of a high-flying offense.
Right.
So this is definitely a big change for him, working heel, not doing as much high-flying. So definitely, it's going to take him some time to adjust to that.
Getting to the end of the match, though, the thing that really brought it down for me was when they started hitting, he got hit with so many V-triggers, and then he did that spot where he was trying to put him in the one-wing angel, and he couldn't even do it because he was slumping. And I was like, this should be a stoppage right here. And
right, he can't defend himself. It was almost like Tanahashi stuff. Like, he's unable to compete, so stop the match.
But then he slowly started working his way, started hitting Saito suplexes. There was one suplex, it was like a reverse sleeper, and Kenny landed on his head. I did not like that at all. It was really dangerous, but he must be okay, I suppose. You never know with wrestlers, I guess. Right. But and then he just started like working his way back, and I was like, I just can't believe that. I couldn't actually suspend my disbelief enough to believe that he could have come back with how bad he got beat.
Yeah, he took too much punishment for a comeback.
So but then he did come back, and he caught Kenny with the first. He hit him with the Kiwi Crusher. And he kicked out. Hit him with the Sling Blade or
the Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Kicked out of that, that was a big moment because no one's kicked out of that yet. I don't think. Did Tanahashi kick out of that?
I don't think he hit Tana with it, did he?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back.
Yeah.
But then it looked like he was going to get put up for the One-Winged Angel, and then he slipped out the back and he
hit the Blade Runner again and got the pinfall.
1, 2, 3, and it was clean. And I knew what the outcome of the match was before it happened when I saw it, but I assumed there was some sort of shenanigans.
Yeah, same here. I also knew the result of the match before I was able to watch it, and so I just assumed, I'm like, I saw some stuff about the Bullet Club. I'm like, I'm sure Cody must have ran out there and accidentally caused a distraction. And Jay White picked the one off distraction, but no, Jay White beat Kenny Omega clean.
One interesting thing was they had Okada out there for commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how that played into like the Japanese side of the storyline, but that was very interesting that they have the leader of that faction out there watching this match. And yeah, Jay White got the biggest win of his entire career, on night 2, which was a big deal. They also, one thing worth noting, neither night was sold out, if you noticed.
Right.
But they drew better for night 2. With Jay White and Kenny versus Suzuki and Tanahashi. It's a little surprising. It wasn't much better, but they did pull in a bigger house for that.
And so after this match, we had a great angle.
Oh man, incredible angle.
Yeah. So Cody and actually Hangman Page comes out first.
Hangman comes out immediately.
He challenges Jay White for the U.S. title.
Well, he was about to.
Right. Well, I mean, he picked the belt up.
He picked the belt up. He didn't get any words out.
Right. He didn't cut a promo or anything, but obviously you can tell us what his intentions were. Kenny rips the belt away from Hangman Page, gives it back to Jay White.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jay White leaves. Out comes Cody. Telling him like he took away Hangman's moment. Like, I'm sorry you lost the title.
Yeah, it was starting to get heated. And then I think Skrull and Nick Jackson was already out there. So Nick was in the ring and Marty comes out. So now you've got a bunch of guys. And it started heating up. They started pushing each other, Cody and Kenny, and Hangman's just like looking so pissed. But he's kind of like the third banana to what's going on with them. And then Matt comes out. And what happened when Matt came out?
So Matt comes out, Cody and Kenny are still going at it, and then Matt's like trying to get like Kenny's attention, and Kenny turns around and pushes.
He grabbed him by his head and threw him down on the mat, and he was still selling the injury from the match before.
Right, and so Matt and Nick Nick's like, dude, what?
The crowd went silent.
I know, they're like, dude, you just push Matt, dude. Like, what's going on, man? Like, Kenny, why'd you push Matt?
Yeah, and Kenny looked like he was shocked, like he didn't know what he just done.
Yeah, he was like, dude, I'm sorry. And then Matt and Nick are like, you know what, forget this, we're out of here.
Yeah, so they kind of got out of there, and actually the situation had been getting really tense between Cody and Kenny, and they were all trying to break it up, but all of a sudden that kind of took a back seat to everything because of Matt. So then the other guys, like Skrull, was like, you know what? You guys have to figure this out between yourselves.
Right, yeah, you guys settle this.
And he walked out, and then Hangman Page is looking pissed, but
he walked out.
They actually him and Kenny slapped hands.
Yeah.
He walked out, and then Kenny and Cody are in the center of the ring, and Cody's just like, I'm sorry you lost your match. It's gonna be fine. And it seemed like they were about to be good. They like shook hands. And then, like, they shared some words. I don't know exactly what. And then that's when it happened. Freaking Cody sits on the ring ropes, lifts the ropes up like he's creating an entrance for Kenny. Kenny starts to kneel to get out, and right at that moment, boom,
jump zone. Grabs him, hits him with the crossroads.
Yeah, he hit him with that crossroads, and it was like a shock. That crowd freaking blew up when that happened.
And Don Callis was great. Cody, what the hell are you doing?
No, he's like, prick. that prick call was awesome. Like that, gosh. And like, us retelling you how good this angle was, I don't even think does it justice. This is one of the best angles they're gonna run all year, probably. It was a legendary angle.
Right. And so then Cody goes and grabs a chair.
Skrull and Hangman Page both run back out.
Yeah.
And if you notice, one thing, so we had like being the elite guys in this, but like we didn't hear from Tama, we didn't hear from Fale, we didn't hear from Hikuleo,
Tangaroa, Yujiro,
Chase. Like, none of those guys are involved in this at all. They're all kind of just not
in the background. Yeah,
like, and they were there that night too. So it's not like we could be like, oh, they weren't on tour. Like, no one got involved in this at all. Kind of interesting. But anyways, one thing he kept telling Kenny that he stole Hangman's moment. He's like, this was his moment. It's not about you. You lost. It's over.
Right.
This was his moment. And I thought that was really good because even though like Cody's the heel in this scenario, obviously, it did kind of paint Kenny in a bad light a bit to where like he was messing up. He was making some bad decisions. He didn't really have to interfere in Hangman. If you really think about it, like why did he have to interfere with Hangman's deal? And then Yeah, Cody like tells Hangman, he's like, he stole your moment. Hold him up. And then Marty's like in the middle of all this. Marty's like going back and forth, like, I don't know what to do. Like, he didn't like really stop either guy from it happening.
Right.
But he wasn't with it either.
Right. He was conflicted.
Yeah.
It was complicated.
So then Cody goes to the outside. He gets a chair. He gets it from Kevin Kelly. And
don't give him the chair.
He's like, you idiot. Yeah, Don Callis like, you idiot. Why did you give him the chair? And then right before he's about to whack Kenny over the head, all of a sudden, boom, the biggest pop of the entire
Kota Ibushi.
He just storms in there, runs everybody off, and, you know, the Bullet Club leaves, and they just leave Cody and Kota Ibushi right there in the center of the ring. How did you react to this, Jeremy?
Dude, I was marking out, you know, this Golden Lovers angle has been played out for such a long time, and the anticipation of the Ibushi Omega match, it's been at an all-time high the last couple of years. Everybody is trying to predict when the match is going to happen. A lot of people thought it was going to happen at Wrestle Kingdom this year, and so it was just a great moment. You see them kind of like talking to each other. Like at first, Kenny's like he's kind of rejecting Kota. At first, looked like, but then eventually they embrace and get the big hug. Crowd goes wild. The Golden Lovers are back together.
Yeah, when they finally hugged, it was, and then the confetti came down. It was like, dude, this is a big moment. And I mean, guys, if you have been watching New Japan for a while or you're new to it, you have to understand, like, this storyline between these two goes back to like 2015. And I mean, obviously they tagged before that, but like in New Japan, like it goes back to a look, literally. Like when Ibushi was getting attacked by the Bullet Club and by AJ Styles, I think it was after, it wasn't the G1, it was probably after, maybe not King of Pro Wrestling, but it was definitely, he won the New Japan Cup, I believe, and then he challenged AJ.
Yeah.
Invasion Attack. It was after Invasion Attack, and they attacked Ibushi, and Omega was part of the Bullet Club, and he was conflicted, and he gave Kota Ibushi this look, and they've been teasing it since that time.
Yeah.
You know, and they've kept them apart. I mean, we've seen after the G1 when this past year when Kenny lost and he got embraced by Kota Ibushi backstage, that was like they've been building this up slowly but surely. And one thing that's amazing about New Japan, unlike some of the other like major companies that are out there, they don't like tease something and not pay it off.
Right. Like if they tease it, like there's going to be a payoff for it. They're not going to expect you to forget and then don't, fulfill what they're teasing.
They don't make you forget like, oh, these guys used to tag at one point and then like just randomly throw them together at like a Road 2 show for no reason.
Right.
With no like build or anything like that. So I mean, this has been building. And then obviously the Cody and Kenny
thing has been building for pretty much since Cody's been in the Bullet Club.
Yes, the whole time.
Yeah. And
but really it started at Dominion.
Right, with the whole throwing a towel in.
Yeah. So I mean, this is brilliant. I mean, this is booking, like this is a masterwork in booking.
And then they continued the angle on the latest 2 episodes of Being the Elite.
Plus the backstage comments too with the afterwards with Cody and the Young Bucks. I mean, like it's really good stuff.
Right, and the one Being the Elite, you see at the end, you see Omega and Kota Ibushi go in the Young Bucks hotel room in Japan, and then the latest episode you see Matt Jackson being doesn't know what side he wants to be on. He's wearing both of the t-shirts.
Yeah, when it kept cutting back and forth, and then one scene he was wearing Kenny's shirt, and then the next scene he's wearing the Cody shirt.
Yeah,
but they didn't like point it out. It's just very subtle. Yeah. I was like, that is so, bro. I was dying laughing.
And then at the end of that, we saw the big news. Nick Jackson, he saw the future Super Card of Honor. It's going to be Kenny Omega versus Cody, and we're going to be there.
Yo, when Nick was like falling on the ground and he's just like, he has the one arm up and he's got like this pained look and he's seeing the vision, I was like, this is so great. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I heard rumors that they were planning to do this match there, but I didn't actually think it was going to happen or get announced this soon. So the fact that it's already like announced and Strong Style Evolved hasn't even happened yet, and we have all these, Honor Rising and everything like that. I'm not sure what's going to happen between now and then.
Right. I mean, things are going to heat up. And, we got a lot of questions surrounding this angle.
All our questions are about this angle this week, probably, huh?
Yeah, they are. So, first question comes from Kyle Moores, and he asks, is this the beginning of the end for the Elite? I think it's definitely the beginning of a split, maybe in Bullet Club. I think this might be actually the start for the Elite, and we might see a Elite faction of maybe the Young Bucks, Kenny and Kota Ibushi.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene. No, I'm just playing. When Kenny first took over, when was that? That was in 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning of 2016, he's talked about this, and so have the Young Bucks, where they expected the Bullet Club to end and the Elite to be their own thing. And so I think that's where they always originally thought they were going to go. But then, New Japan didn't want to go that way. It was too marketable to keep the Bullet Club viable as a brand. And obviously,
and then they blew up with the Hot Topic deal.
They've been killing it this past year. And I think this last year, from a marketing standpoint, has been like a landmark year for all those guys involved with it. However, with that being said, I think the fear was, if you take Kenny and you take the Young Bucks out of the Bullet Club, what do you have left at that point? And that was in 2016. That was hot on the tail of them losing Gallows,
Anderson and
AJ. And so it was almost too soon for them to like break off, because then it's like you just lost 6 of your biggest core guys. But if they split off in 2018, I mean, you've got Cody, you've got Skrull, you've got Hangman, you've got Yujiro,
you got all the Tongans.
You got all the Tongans, you got Chase Owens.
He's Tongan.
He's not even an honorary Tongan anymore. He's a real Tongan now. So with that being said, I could hypothetically, from a marketing standpoint, see where it might be better for them, to where they can now go off and they can license and merchandise the Elite and still license and merchandise the Bullet Club, because I'm pretty sure they don't want the Bullet Club going away.
Right. I mean, that's
for money license.
Yeah, that's like lighting money on fire, like completely breaking that group up.
But I think that was what the and then that was the problem last year when Cody and Kenny were teasing their dissension. It was like, well, what will happen to the Bullet Club if that happens? You know what I mean?
Right.
At the time, it seemed like, wow, like what would happen? But at this point, it seems like, even though over the past year, the Bullet Club, and maybe the past 2 years, the Bullet Club to me is almost not even really a faction. It's just like a group of guys
that wear the same T-shirt.
That wear the same T-shirt. They're not what they were when Prince Devitt was running it, and they weren't what the original Bullet Club is. A totally different thing than when AJ was running it, to be honest. And then since Omega took over, it's been completely different. That being said, they have enough strength in talent and characters to where the group could hypothetically continue without Kenny and the Young Bucks if it had to at this point.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of different options they can do with that. And so next, Kyle had another question.
Do you think that the Elite's going to split off?
I think it's possible.
I think they almost at this point would have to, unless
they kick Cody out, because Cody and Kenny cannot coexist in the same faction.
They'd either have to kick Cody out and Cody's gone, or if Kenny's gone, then I would say, in my opinion, the Young Bucks, now they don't have to do this, but it would almost seem stupid to not have the Bucks go with him, because there's so much marketing ability with the Young Bucks and Kenny, to where why would they not go with him? That's where the money is.
Right.
And for all the promoters out there in Ring of Honor, New Japan, and PWG, it would not make sense to not keep that tandem together. That'd be like breaking up the New Day. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's stupid at this point. So they would probably have to stay together. And then I'm still wondering, like, what happens to being the Elite?
Right.
Because obviously, like, Cody and Hangman Page and Skrull are involved in that. And so this is really hard to call.
Dude, this is going to like shift the whole foundation of the Bullet Club and how they do everything. So Kyle had another question. He asked, could Hangman Page increase his stock for a strong match against Jay White?
Well, I think he's been increasing his stock over the past year or so, having good matches or, good showings in matches. I think he does too much babyface stuff to be a top heel.
Or out there doing shooting star shoulder presses from the apron
stuff, man, like the flip over, like burning lariat that he does. I mean, it's all cool stuff, but I don't know how I feel about a match between him and Jay White. I don't even know if that match is gonna happen, they teased it, but I mean,
Honor Rising is coming up. Why not give Jay White his first offense in his former Excursion promotion against Hangman?
I think Hangman Page has a problem with charisma. That's kind of where he lacks. In-ring ability and like athleticism, he's great. He's incredible for a guy his size. I don't know too many guys his size that can do the things he does. But could him and Jay White, I think that Jay White and Hangman Page could both raise their stock if they have a strong match against each other.
Definitely.
I mean, in a way, Hangman's more established than Jay White is.
He is.
Yeah. So I mean,
that match would probably help Jay White out more than it would Hangman.
I think that's what he would be there to do, is to be a utility player to get Hangman Page over more so. And I also think that somehow, some way, the idea that Jay White's trying to break up the Bullet Club, that would play into that whole storyline as well. So I don't see Hangman beating Jay White anytime soon if they do end up wrestling. But yeah, I think it would be a potential turning point for both guys. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, it could raise both their stocks.
Then Simon Cotton asks, can Cody take the next step in his career by becoming the next leader of the Bullet Club?
I don't know. Simon, I don't know what's going to happen, bro. Like, I'm too torn. I hope that they know what they're doing.
I mean, if they wanted to make the Bullet Club more heelish, back to like the heel roots, I mean, going with Cody as a leader could be good, and it definitely could increase his notoriety in Japan.
Yeah, so I mean, it could help him in Japan for sure, and I think that's maybe. I don't think that Cody needs to take the next step, quote unquote, because if you've been watching this guy lately, he's a star now.
Yeah, he's a superstar.
He is a star in Ring of Honor and on the Indies and now in New Japan. Like, he is over finally. With that being said, I think he could still become a bigger star in New Japan, and I think that this entire storyline can catapult him to there. Now, I don't know if he'll be the leader of the quote unquote Bullet Club. I don't know what they're going to call it or what it's going to be or what's going to happen, but I do see in some form or fashion he will probably be taking a portion of the guys with him and leading something of some nature, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And Simon also had a follow-up question. He said, how will this angle affect the members of the Bullet Club who aren't a part of the elite? So we're talking about, the Tongans, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi. How does this affect these guys? And these guys, I mean, they're most of those guys are OG Bullet Clubs. They are part of the original Bullet Club faction. And it's
to be clear, it's only really Tama and Fale.
Yeah.
They're the only two. But you almost count Hikuleo and Tangaroa because they're brothers with Leo Tonga. Or, I'm sorry, with
Tama Tonga.
Tama Tonga. And then, and they're all Tongan. All of them. Including Chase. With that being said, I mean, what are your thoughts as far as? I mean, you caught Tama Tonga's like comments on these things, and
right. I think at some point, eventually, we're going to see these guys play into this storyline. They've kind of been sitting in the background. I think they're kind of waiting to see where things kind of how things play out.
They're like neutral on the whole thing,
right? I mean, it's not too crazy to proposition maybe Tama Tonga being the leader of the Bullet Club, or you have those guys just break off into their own faction and it's like the Tongan Club pretty much, and you have Tama leading those guys.
I don't want them to overbook this stuff too much, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of guys that are going to fall, and they have to figure out how to place the chips without overbooking this stuff and turning it into a Wolfpack versus Hollywood scenario, because that sucked. Even though they made a lot of money off the Wolfpack merchandise, which
dude, I was a Wolfpack mark.
One thing I don't know if you noticed this, but lately the Tongans have been wearing red and black.
Yeah,
I've been noticing that a bit, and Tama Tonga hasn't been like completely quiet about what's been going on. I mean,
he's been very verbal, even like going back to like last year in the G1 when he was against Kenny.
Yeah, the match with Kenny, he cut amazing promo on Kenny during the match. The G1 press conference, he was the highlight of that conference. The statements he made about the elite and everything like that. And then if you watch the World Tag Tournament, every night he was talking about, two sweet versus one sweet.
Right.
And all the things he was talking about, how like the real Bullet Club was holding it down in Japan while those American guys were over there doing, whatever they do. And I think that if you just are like a casual fan and all you are familiar with are the Bullet Club members that are in Ring of Honor and that sort of thing, you're missing out on this gem of a performer in Tama Tonga. I think he's ready to be a leader in New Japan. I mean, he comes from the dojo system. He's been he's rised in the ranks from being a jobber guy to where now he's kind of established to where he's ready. I think in the next G1 he could be I could see him maybe going to a finals or getting to a B block finals, like a Goto type of performer. He's ready for that kind of place. His ring work is excellent. His promos are excellent. I just don't know how it's going to play out with all the spotlight being on Kenny and Cody.
Right, on the pretty much quote-unquote American Bullet Club.
Right. So I don't know how it's going to affect them. Obviously, at some point, there's going to have to be some sort of decision that's going to have to be made. The only thing that I hope for at the end of the day is that Chase stays with the Tongans.
Yes, he has to. He has to.
He knows where his bread is buttered.
Next question comes from Howard Schilling. He says, is Cody finally becoming the real-life Doctor Doom that he's been hinting at for the last decade?
Is he talking about his dashing character in WWE?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, we do know he's got a broken cheekbone right now.
Yeah. I think Cody's he's been a better heel than a babyface. And so
he's a great heel.
Yeah. I mean, like Don Cal said, he's a prick. And he plays it well. Especially in that Being the Elite where he's him and Brandy are on vacation and they're showing all the stuff they're doing in the mountains.
They're fine. They're having a great time right now.
Yeah.
They're living it up. He he's been studying Flair lately and emulating him, and it's that's the kind of character that he's trying to draw off of in a way. So I don't know I don't know what kind of character he's becoming, but I know his character work's been excellent this past year or the past couple of years.
His character work is what makes him stand out in Ring of Honor. There's a lot of guys in Ring of Honor that are great workers, but not a lot of great characters.
Yeah. And then what did Ricky and Clive say?
Yeah.
Shout out to Ricky and Clive. I'm not going to shout out your shoot names on the air, but I know them now.
So Ricky and Clive asked, do you think the All-In event needs a top star from New Japan / a returning CM Punk to sell out? Or do you think it's possible to sell out without either of those?
Yes, they need it.
First of all, they already have a top New Japan star and Kenny Omega booked on the show.
And let's not kid ourselves, Cody is one of the top drawing stars in the world right now. Now, on the indies, yes, the indies don't draw the way that WWE is. So we're not talking WWE numbers here, but this is a guy who's pulled two of the biggest houses in North America in the past year. Both of the shows that he did for All Pro Wrestling over in San Francisco at the Cow Palace. Those are huge houses, two of the biggest houses that have been pulled in the last decade outside of WWE in North America. So and the Young Bucks obviously are huge draws all over the world. So yeah, they've got top guys, but to sell at a 10,000 seat arena, I think that they need to, before they sell tickets, announce the lineup.
Right.
Or at least who's going to be there. And yeah, they need top stars to pull that off.
Yeah, if I were them, I'd try and get a Naito, maybe even Okada, Michael Elgin.
It's just that, we know right now, New Japan just had a sellout in a matter of minutes, and they probably could have sold out an arena like this, but they're doing that built off of the brand. Yes, it is the wrestlers, but we don't even know who's coming to Strong Style Evolved yet. It's the brand at this point, and that's how strong the brand is. But, Ring of Honor, they're running a big arena during WrestleMania weekend, and it's not sold out yet. And they're running a fraction of what All In is supposed to be, maybe half of what All In is supposed to be, and they're still not sold out.
Well, we haven't got any ticket update numbers after the announcement. I
just looked.
You just looked? Okay.
Yeah. They're close. They're close to being sold out, but even still, they're still only running about we'll go over the numbers, but it's not 10,000.
Right.
So this is not a branded event, just to be clear, even though it's probably technically, I guess you could consider as one, but like it's not like New Japan's coming to America. So in order for them to pull this off, they're running it off of their own notoriety. They have to have top stars. They just have to. They're not going to sell out just running Kenny at the top of the card right now. It's not going to happen. They need something bigger to, like, they need a master card to do it.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to see who else, gets added on to that as we get closer, and what the location is and who they can get to be on this show.
Yeah.
All right, and so there was one more title change that happened in New Beginning in Sapporo, and it was during the Young Bucks versus Roppongi 3K for the junior heavyweight tag titles, and this was probably one of the best Young Buck match in New Japan.
Yeah, it was one of the best Young Buck matches I've ever seen.
Period, yeah.
Period. It was the best Roppongi 3K that we've seen in their short time, like, teaming up, in New Japan so far. This match was great. I mean, really, 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 really great.
And something I really enjoyed about this match was the storytelling. So if you remember, we talked about their match at Wrestle Kingdom. We mentioned how they took out Rocky Romero and Sho and Yo were almost they were lost without their coach. It's like a football team, like without a coach calling the plays for them. They can only get so far. So in this match, the Young Bucks once again did try to take out Rocky Romero, but they failed. And Rocky Romero was there the whole match. So Sho and Yo had their coach in their corner, helping them call the plays.
Well, what I liked about it was how the beginning of the match started off with a very, very strong and exciting early shine from Roppongi 3K. So Roppongi 3K was dominant the way that you see a lot of tag team matches when the faces shine up the heels. And then as soon, like literally the moment that the Young Bucks got the upper hand and cut them off, they started chasing Rocky Romero immediately.
Right.
So like that was brilliant storytelling, because they're like, you know what? Before we even try to inflict any damage or anything, now that we have our spot, let's pick our spot.
Right. Let's get rid of their coach.
Let's get rid of their coach and put them back down a peg. And they chased Rocky Romero all the way up the ramp. Rocky started running, and it's just so funny because Rocky Romero is one of the premier like juniors in the world. He's not like a stooge,
right?
You know what I mean? But playing a manager, he plays an excellent stooge. Like he ran like he was scared for his life from these guys he's been wrestling for like a decade.
Ever, yeah.
And he ran all the way to the back, and then the Bucks chased him all the way to the backstage, and you can hear him being like, ah, ah. And then they brought him out, and they're like, let's do it again, Matt. And they set him up like they're gonna powerbomb him right on the ramp, which I was like, dang it, they're gonna do it again. I thought they were gonna do it, and then Sho and Yo learned from their mistake, and they stopped it. And when the fight started breaking out there, I was like, okay, this match is already really, really good. And then Matt did that flipping senton right off the stage onto Roppongi 3K, laid them all out. But then when he came down, he landed. He just kind of like just slightly tweaked his back.
Right, and the back was already previously injured in the Wrestle Kingdom match. So he aggravated that injury, and that was the downfall for the Young Bucks.
I will say that like his selling from that point on was just incredible.
Dude, for all these old timers that say the Young Bucks are just video game wrestlers and they can't sell and blah blah blah, like watch this match. Like Matt Jackson was excellent here.
Well, a lot of times when the Young Bucks sell stuff, they do it in a cartoonish, like over the top way to where it is funny and it's entertaining. It's like comedy wrestling.
Right.
This was not that at all.
Yeah, this was like serious. Like,
this was serious.
I'm in deadly pain right now. I need to tag Nick as soon as I can possibly can.
Yeah, and there was one thing I liked about this match was when they did the double powerbomb onto either Sho or Yo, I don't remember who it was, onto the apron.
Yes.
And then Kevin Kelly's like, shout out to KO. Because for those of you that don't know, like Kevin Owens is like really good friends with the Young Bucks. So that was interesting. But what I loved about this match was the ebbs and flows in the like storytelling. Because in the beginning, obviously, like, the Young Bucks were the heels, and Sho and Yo are the white meat baby faces. And once they came back from that apron spot, like Yo was in there, and Yo's like the Ricky Morton of their team. He's always the face in peril, and they did an excellent job like cutting him off and beating him up, and every time he kept trying to, but like Matt was clearly in pain the whole time. Like Matt's still selling the back, but they're working like excellent like psychology to where they're working around his back pain to still dominate the match,
Right.
which I thought was so smart.
Yeah, there was parts where, like, they were going for their buckle bomb, like, enziguri combo, and, like, Nick had to, like, come back inside and help Matt pick him up for the buckle bomb and then run back to the Enzy part.
Or there's one part where Matt was hurt and he was trying to do something and he couldn't do it. It might have been a sharpshooter. And so it opened up a chance for Yo to get the tag. And Nick runs in, pulls Yo to the corner, tags Matt out, and then Yo gets a spot like a desperation spot, like he's gonna be able to tag in, but they didn't know that Matt, who was hurt, had rolled out of the ring, and he pulls Show right off the apron.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so freaking smart, because tag wrestling can be formulaic, and we see it in WWE, and but what makes great tag matches great is when they take that formula and they just slightly tweak it a little bit. It's what the Revival is so good at doing in WWE. It's like they follow that same Southern style tag formula, but they tweak it a little bit to turn it into something unique that you're not expecting, and then it changes your like expectations of a match, and it takes you on a better like dramatic ride. You know what I mean?
Right. And then there's one point in the match where Show and Yo hit the 3K on the apron. I believe it was to Nick Jackson.
What's the 3K?
That's like their like 3D looking move where like one guy picks up for the flapjack and the other guy catches a little flatliner kind of thing.
Matt took a crazy bump to the outside at one point, and you could see his whole side was red.
Yeah.
He must have got like skinned alive. But I mean, there were so many spots that they did. This to me was like the epitome of like Southern style tag wrestling from the 80s mixed in with like that X Division Junior like style from the 2000s. This is like the perfect blend of those two styles of wrestling to like, I'm like, this is like masterclass in tag team wrestling right now. I thought this match was incredible. And then, I don't know. At one point then, Matt became the face in peril.
Right,
and all of a sudden, like, the people that were cheering for Show and Yo, they started cheering for the Young Bucks because Matt became the face in peril. And you don't see ever where, like, the heel team is dominating, and then it flips, and then all of a sudden, like, they're trying to get a hot tag. And he's trying desperately the whole match to get Nick into the match.
Yeah.
I thought that was so smart.
And something else, too, in the storytelling, not only did they call back to the Wrestle Kingdom match with certain stuff, they also called back to the Roppongi Vice matches.
Yeah.
If you remember in those matches, Trent Beretta, he was a partner that was taken out with the big dive on the ramp, and then he had to come...
well, that was at Wrestle Kingdom, but if you remember even going further back, they'd done the same storyline when they lost the titles to the Young Bucks, because Rocky Romero was the one that was hurt, and Trent Beretta was left on the inside. So they're like calling back to that entire feud in general, which is so smart. What I loved about this too is like, I remember watching one of my favorite tag matches of all time is the Midnight Express versus the Fantastics. There's a match from Worldwide in 1988, and they do two face in peril spots, which is different because you always see the one face in peril and then the hot tag, and then you go for the finish. But they did two of them where both guys on the team ended up getting injured, and then the Midnight Express gets caught at the end and gets rolled up. This was almost like that, except in reverse, where each team had a face in peril spot, which was really great. And I mean, like, they did a lot of, like, we're not even covering all the high spots and the crazy, like, signature moves that these guys did. They kept killing those guys with I don't know what the Bucks are calling it, but when they stretch them out and then they flip
up. Yeah. I don't think there's a name for it, but yeah, pretty much like one stretches them out, and then on the outside they did like a swanton, and the inside they did a 450 onto it. Oh, that was crazy.
But then, so we get to basically the final of the match,
where Matt, he has Yo locked in the sharpshooter, but his back was in so much pain he couldn't hold a sharpshooter.
He tries to go for it again. The second time he gets rolled up. 1, 2, 3.
And Roppongi 3K are now 2-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Champs.
Kind of surprised. I'm not surprised in the sense that it seemed like Show and Yo probably needed the win to keep the feud going, because if they lost, that's it.
That's it, yeah.
But I was surprised they did this like a month later after they just took the titles off them. But yeah, I mean, this was probably the right way to go. If they were going to make the match this soon, this is what had to happen. So I don't know. I thought that match was really incredible. Like, I can't praise it enough. If you love tag wrestling or you like, flipping action, high spots, like,
shout out Rich Latta.
The whole time I was watching, I was like, dude, Rich's got to see this match.
Yeah.
It's really, 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 really good. So that was awesome. That was probably, aside from Tanahashi and Suzuki, that was probably the second best match of that weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then something else on New Beginning in Sapporo, we had 2 more matches in the Kitamura 7-match series. On night 1, he faced Big Michael Elgin. Night 2, he faced Juice Robinson. Thoughts on Kitamura's performance?
I thought Kitamura was very good in both matches. I thought, this is just my opinion, I thought the Elgin match was maybe better. I don't know did you like the Juice match better? Or?
No, I liked the Elgin match better, and I thought it was very interesting in Kitamura's backstage promos. He was like, I was looking forward to this. I saw it as like a power clash of like a U.S. strong man against a Japanese strong man. Because like I wasn't strong enough.
I'm a big fan of the Hostile matches. Some of my favorite like New Japan matches always involve like Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow and like Hashimoto and Tenzan, like big guys like that. So I love the Bruiserweights and like the Hostile matches. So I like that match a lot. I thought that I think Kitamura's getting better, like pretty quickly. I'm excited to see what ends up happening with the 7-match series just in general. So far, they have the first 6 matches all outlined. We know the dates. We don't know who his 7th opponent's going to be. So far, he's lost all 3 matches.
Right. Because he's fought. His first challenge was with Jay White.
Yeah. And he did well in that match, but he got caught because Jay White kept going for the knee and took him out and kind of cut him down to size. Right. He got outpowered by Elgin. And then in the match with Juice, he kind of just got outclassed.
Right,
Juice
yeah. I mean, he was
better class.
Tossing Juice around and really using his power against Juice, but Juice was able to pull out the win with the pulp friction.
They always talk about how he's rushing so much, and he always just goes at one speed, like so quick. And I mean, you can see he is still very green, but from watching him at the beginning of like the Young Lions like project matches to now, he's like greatly improving. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So, we do see that he's got matches coming up on the next 2 Road to New Beginning shows. He's got a match with Tenzan. He did have a match with Kojima, but Nakanishi's going to replace him. And then at New Beginning in Osaka, he's going to wrestle Nagata, which that should be great. And then we don't know who his 7th opponent will be. We don't know when it's going to be. I'm assuming it'll be the anniversary show.
That's something. That's what makes the most sense, I would think.
They had rumored it was going to be Tanahashi, but now with Tanahashi's injuries, we don't know who it's going to be. I mean, what do you think, Jeremy?
I don't really have an idea of who it could be. I'll tell you who I'd like it to be. Why not Ishii?
Oh, that's a good call. It should be Ishii. That'd be really good. I had kind of thought maybe they'll do Liger. Like, I don't know, just because they're running with all these, like, older established stars. Right. And, when Tanahashi got injured, they took him out. They replaced him with Liger, so why not just run it back? But at the same time, like, man, Ishii against...
that's a Haas match right there.
That's a Haas match.
Dude, that would be a strong style match.
Yeah, and at the anniversary show, I think it would be a good way to get Ishii out of this freaking tag team and actually display him to some degree. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I'd love to see that.
Then also, the rest of the matches on these shows, there were a lot of multi-man matches, which majority of them were building towards the New Beginning in Osaka. We saw a lot of stuff between LIJ and Chaos.
Yeah. I mean, on the first night, couple things was like, we saw a lot of LIJ and Chaos matchups. I kind of thought in the 6-man tag that they did with LIJ and Chaos, and that was with Yoshihashi and Naito on the teams. No, it might have just been a tag match, I believe, that night.
Yeah, wasn't it?
It was Ospreay and Yoshihashi against
Naito and Hiromu.
Yeah, and I thought like Ospreay came off looking better than Yoshihashi did. Like I almost believe more that like he has a chance at beating Naito than Yoshihashi does.
Dude, yeah, they're trying like really hard to get Yoshihashi over as this tough guy. And I think it was night 2 after the match. He was like trying to attack Naito, and like Naito was just like being tranquilo.
Yeah.
Just like when Jericho attacked him, like not even caring, like turned his back to him, and Yoshihashi's like
Yoshihashi tried to like thumb his eyes out at one point, and like Naito didn't care. He literally just does not care. He doesn't see Yoshihashi as a threat, and rightly so. Like Yoshihashi is no threat to him at all. He's just turning his back to him and walking away. So
now, because it's so obvious that Naito should win, do you think Yoshihashi could pull up an upset win here?
Yeah, I do, because New Japan does that kind of booking sometimes, especially like if the story ends up being that Naito needs to rebuild. Yeah, I could see that. But one thing that's interesting is we're seeing a return of Tranquilo Naito, after him playing to the crowd and missing out on his big moment, at Wrestle Kingdom. We're seeing with like at Fantasticmania, and then now here on these New Beginning shows, it's like we're seeing a return of the old Naito, the Naito who just does not give a F about anything. So it's kind of nice to see that, but I'm not really that excited about this match, but they did build to it with the attack from Yoshihashi on night 1. Also, let's talk about night 1 when they did the 6-man tag with Okada and Sonata.
Right, yeah, after the match, Okada got Sonata into the, I don't know what he calls it. Well, the what were we calling it? The billion yen dream.
Yeah, he put originally he won the match by putting Bushi in the billion yen dream. That needs to be the name of that move. I swear to God, like New Japan needs to we need to like tweet Kevin Kelly and tell him to call it the billion yen dream is what we need to do.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, he put Sonata in that and choked him out because he wanted to hear it from Sonata, but Sonata doesn't really speak.
Yeah, he tried to get Sonata to cut a promo, and Sonata grabbed the mic and just dropped it. And then afterwards, like Okada just, while he was walking down the aisle, Okada ran out there and freaking attacked the crap out of him.
Pretty much like that heel, like arrogant Okada that we saw against Tanahashi.
Yeah, he's acting like a douchebag. And then he brought Sonata back in the ring, and then he pulled out a bunch of the Okada bucks and stuffed them
in his mouth like some Ted DiBiase stuff.
And he put him in the billion yen dream, and I was like, I might be right about this whole chaos as heels things. Because we saw Yoshihashi attack on night 1. We saw Okada attack. We've obviously, like, Gato's always doing, like, heelish stuff.
Right.
I might be onto something here. Also...
And then the next night...
No. Let's just point out how there's no way they can be faces, because Okada's still wearing them freaking pants. And only a heel would wear those freaking pants. Oh, my God. I thought that was a one-night thing only.
No, man, that's his 2018 gear.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh. And so yeah, night 2, Sonata got some heat back.
Yeah. So yeah, Sonata. Now that 10-man tag I enjoyed a lot. Yeah. I thought it was a very good match. And they do a lot of multi-man matches in New Japan, but sometimes and they're kind of formulaic and they're by the numbers, but when you see like a good one, they do them better than almost anybody else. And this was great. And I thought it was an awesome way to get over all 5, because these are going to be 5 singles matches at New Beginning in Osaka.
Right.
So we're going to get Bushi against Gato. We're going to get Hiromu against Ospreay. We're going to get Yoshihashi against Naito. We're getting Evil versus Goto, and then Sonata versus Okada. So we had all these matchups here. And I will say a couple things. One, I'm actually excited about the 3 top title matches. I thought that Evil and Goto's interactions were like...
Dude, that's going to be a strong style match.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be a strong style match, and I love strong style. Like, they were hitting each other freaking hard, and I was like, that's going to be awesome. The stuff with Hiromu and Ospreay was excellent.
Dude, I mean, we already seen those guys, and we know they can tear it up.
But I don't think... Have we seen them one-on-one, or did they go one-on-one in the Best of Super Juniors? I think they did.
I think they did.
But, like, this is going to be an excellent match, too. And then the stuff with Okada and Sonata was really good during that match.
Sonata's just... We talk about this all the time, and he's just phenomenal in the ring. I mean, he doesn't... His character, and, is not the best or whatever, but when it comes to wrestling, man, Sonata, he's a man.
Did you notice that Chaos attacked LIJ to start the match off?
Yeah.
Before the bell rang? Yeah.
They're heels.
They're heels. God damn, they're heels. No, but it's interesting how both teams are kind of like at this crossroads right now, where it seems like a lot of the guys in Chaos are starting to lean more towards heelish tendencies like they used to.
Right.
And I'm like, like we might be seeing like a heel turn. Like, I don't know. It's been like, I remember when CM Punk turned heel in the middle of his long title reign. Like, maybe we're seeing that from Okada.
Well, I mean, to open up more challenges for him, he probably
it would open up more challenges and create more like anticipation for him versus some of the like baby faces in the company.
Right,
sure.
Right. I mean, especially who knows? I mean, Okada could hold his title for the rest of this year, so he would need
he could lose it in like a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna go over our predictions here in a minute, but yeah,
I will say this also: Sonata was super over in this match. In a match with Okada and Naito on the card, in the same match, Sonata was the star of this match.
Well, I mean, I think the crowd, they recognize the talent that Sonata has, and he's been there for a while. They've watched him kind of evolve, and, you know, they love him, seeing him wrestle, and they probably think it's cool that he's finally getting an opportunity like this.
Well, the match ended with Sonata going over, getting the skull end on Gato, which is definitely the right way to go to build towards the match coming up. And then Sonata cut a promo at the end. I don't even know what he said, but
I watched the English translation of the promo. He was like, Okada, you want me to talk? I'll talk. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to destroy you, something like that, in Osaka, and then drop the mic.
I'm excited for this match. I haven't been up until
then, like,
now.
the Japanese announcers were like, oh, Sonata is speaking. He never speak in New Japan. He's like, they were like small, short words, but very powerful.
That's awesome. Yeah. So he's never cut a real promo like on screen before. So that was awesome. And then Yoshihashi tried to attack Naito again. Naito could care less about this dude. Like he has nothing but disdain for Yoshihashi. Like, so I'm excited. I think these 5 matches are going to be good. Any other notes that you really had about? I mean, obviously we saw Makabe and Suzuki. We talked about that they're setting up that match. Anything else from New Beginning that really mattered to you?
No, I think we covered all the main points from Sapporo.
There's a couple things. I liked Cody's promo.
Oh, the God Bless Kenny Omega.
And he was like, let me tell you, Kevin Kelly, Kenny Omega is the leader of the Bullet Club. I love him. I love Kenny Omega.
He cut that promo again backstage, too. He was like, God bless America and God bless Kenny Omega. And then like him and like Marty were like pushing like Hangman Page around in a cart thing because he got the pinfall. And they were like, he's the champion.
I liked when Marty Scurll they did the same promo both nights, which is weird, but when he was like, actually, he was like, Kenny's the U.S. champion, but he's from Canada, and I live in America, but I'm from England.
Well, he said that's the same thing too. Like Corey did the thing, and he's like, by the way, Kenny's Canadian, I'm from Britain.
Obviously, you know, Jay White attacked Kenny Omega at the end of their match, night 1, to set up the match. We didn't really talk about that, but that happened. That was kind of interesting, and that actually lent itself to the story with the breakup of the Bullet Club, because Nick and Matt were standing right there when it happened, but they didn't see the attack.
Right.
And so Kenny was pissed, and he was like, where were you guys? And they're like, man, we were looking at the hard cam. He's like, we had to do the post for the hard cam, man.
Like, we and also on Being the Elite, like they showed like there was actually like tension between those guys before that 6-man tag even happened, and they were like, Kenny, we gotta talk about our game plan. Kenny's like, no, we just call it in the ring. And Matt's like, call it in the ring.
Wait, who said that?
Kenny, like, because like they were having like issues before the 6-man tag, and Matt's like, Kenny, we got to go over the match, and Kenny's like, no, man, I'll see you out there. We'll call it in the ring. And Matt's like, call it in the ring.
You know, the Tongans defended their 6-man tag titles.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
against Makabe, Hanare, and Juice,
Taguchi Japan, whoever it was.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that Makabe is wearing a Taguchi Japan jersey now.
I guess he's part of Taguchi Japan. They just keep adding guys.
Right. I mean, it's pretty much like all the Sekigun guys
pretty much
are becoming part of Team Taguchi Japan.
But I thought it was interesting that Tama won with the Twister. If for those of you guys who aren't familiar with what the twister is, it's basically an abdominal stretch, but you do it on the ground and then you twist the guy's head. It's actually one of the most devastating, like, real life shoot submission holds you can do. He used it during the tag tournament to beat Raymond Rowe, and he actually tapped him out, and a lot of people didn't see it because it happened during the tag tournament. So when he won the match night one with it, Kevin Kelly acted like it was a brand new finisher that they'd never seen before, but we already seen it. But I mean, that was pretty interesting. I love seeing that move.
There was something funny. I know there was a funny Taguchi promo. I forgot which match it was, where like Tama like took his glasses off and like destroyed his glasses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so Taguchi, like in the backstage, he was like, Tama, you destroyed my glasses. Like, a master craftsman made those glasses. He was like, you have no respect for craftsmen. All the craftsmen around the world, I fight for them.
A couple of things. Speaking of Taguchi, I thought it was funny where after the match on night 2, when they had the either the 8-man or 5-man tag.
Suzuki Gun. And he was like hitting on Miho Abe.
She came and whispered something in his ear, and then he like threw himself on her. Bro, that's something that would never happen in America.
Dude.
That's some assault stuff right there.
Miho Abe is fine.
Yeah, she's hot. In that match, though, one thing I thought was worth noting was Shota Umino had an amazing hot tag.
Oh, yeah.
And he almost beat Taichi like 3 or 4 times that match. I was like, wow, they're really like hyping Umino up a bit. So that was cool. But Taguchi, like, they attacked him a bunch of times after the match, and he walked up to the announce table and he's like, I broke my ass.
Yes, yeah. Also, Desperado had a pretty funny promo, too, in the back. He was like, why do they keep putting me against old men and young boys?
Speaking of the Tongans, I think it's worth noting, we've called him by his name Hikuleo, but we've never mentioned it really on the show here, that Leo Tonga is now Hikuleo.
Right. Apparently, I guess that's the name that Ming gave him.
His father, Haku.
And you don't go against Haku.
Well, him and Tajiri, I was going to say Tajiri, him and freaking, who did he team with?
Yujiro?
Yeah, Yujiro. They lost on night 2, and I was like, well, they didn't have Peter with them. No wonder they lost.
Right.
So we didn't get Peter on night 2. And then one thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, Chase Owens, honorary Tongan, he's starting to do a 5-count gimmick now.
Yes, because there was the whole botch at Wrestle Kingdom in the Battle Royal where he hit the package pile driver, and Tiger Hattori accidentally like counted to 5. And so, like, they've been running with this thing, and so now
they always want 5 counts.
Yeah, he's like, no, keep going, 2 more.
I also thought in the match that they had on night 2, if you notice, Oka is looking super lean now.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he's way skinnier than he was when we first started seeing this guy. He looked like a bruiser, and now he's starting to look like a junior. I'm like, what's going on with that? Also, one thing I marked for it, and I thought it was worth noting, when Tamatonga headbutted Tenzan.
Oh, and Tenzan's head was harder than Tamatonga's. I was like, what? How is that possible?
Tamatonga's a Tongan. Like, he's not supposed to be selling the headbutt spot like he's headbutting someone with a harder head. I thought it was so...
that was hilarious.
It was so funny.
So I'm guessing, so you have Tenzan's head, Tongan's heads, and then Samoan's heads, or Samoan's heads harder?
I think like Samoan and Tongan's heads are like
on the same level.
Yeah, like...
But then Tenzan's just above both of them.
Yeah, so I mean, that was pretty much everything. I did think it was worth noticing during the Cody 6-man tag the second night that Kushida took the pinfall.
Yes.
On a team where Dave Finlay was on the same team, and I thought that was interesting. I'm like, why did he take the pinfall as a junior, as like the top junior basically? But he got hit with that awesome counter where it was the crossroads into the last rites.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course he got put away. But
yeah, double finish.
It was stupid that as a junior he got put away when, to me, he's higher on the cards than Finlay.
Well, it's that whole kind of mentality in New Japan. They have the hierarchy. Like, no matter what, like, heavyweights are better than junior heavyweights, and heavyweights are supposed to beat juniors.
I still disagree with that.
I disagree with it also, but I'm saying that's the reasoning for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's our review of New Beginning. Do you want to talk about New Beginning coming up?
Yeah, New Beginning in Osaka. Let's go ahead and do you want to talk about the Road 2 shows real quick, or you just want to jump to...
Yeah, let's talk about the Road 2 shows, but I'm guessing we're probably just going to talk about the big matches.
Right. So on Monday, February 5th, that's the first Road 2 show that will be on New Japan World. There's going to be David Finlay versus Jay White.
Yeah, so they used to be a tag team, but when they were young boys. And obviously, shout out again. Who's our new writer?
Nathan.
Yeah, so Nathan, if you guys are on the Social Suplex, go to socialsuplex.com or follow us on the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. You can find his write-up there. And he did an incredible write-up about these two guys, what's going on between the dichotomy of their two career trajectories. But I expect this to be a good match.
Right, and this is something also David Finlay had a backstage promo where he was like, someone in the office must like Jay White better than me. We have the same credentials. We both lost to Tanahashi, and we both beat Kitamura.
I'm expecting, obviously, for Jay White to go over in that match, of course.
And then the main event of that night, there's a special elimination 10-man tag with Geto, Ospreay, Yoshihashi, Goto, and Okada against Bushi, Takahashi, Naito, Evil, and Sonata.
Oh, they're doing an elimination tag?
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to do so New Japan used to do the gimmick back in the day where when they had elimination tags, they would do knockout, submission, pinfall, and ring out. So if you got thrown out of the ring, you got submitted as well. And those matches are excellent from the 80s. I hope they do that. I hope they do ring out as well, like kind of like Royal Rumble. If you get thrown out of, but not over the top, just in general. If you go out of the ring, you're disqualified.
That'll be very interesting. And then the main event of
night 2, it's a tag match.
Yeah, February 6th. It's gonna be Goto and Okada challenging Evil and Sonata for the tag titles. What do you think's gonna happen there?
Well, I'm expecting for... that's really tough. I want to say Sonata's going to pick up the win over somebody like Goto, but man, Goto's the champion going into the next night.
Well, you could... Or you can have Evil pin Goto, which makes you think, Evil can beat Goto, and then you think Evil's going to beat Goto.
I'm not expecting Okada to get pinned, but you could hypothetically do... You could have
Sonata pin him, yeah.
I'm going to say that the tag champions are going to retain their titles in that match somehow, some way. Although, I wouldn't be that surprised if Okada and Goto actually lifted the belts off them. Although then they'd have to defend the belts,
right?
So
probably not going to happen.
So I'm gonna go with LIJ in that match.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to the main card. New beginning in Osaka, Saturday, February 10th.
This is a great card.
Yeah, so we're gonna open. The card opens up with the best of 7 series for Kitamura. It's gonna be Nagata and Kitamura.
I'm expecting so far this to be the best Kitamura match we've seen. And I'm going to, because I love Nagata. I'm just a huge Nagata mark. And so I'm going to say Nagata's going to beat him with the armbar.
I'm also going to go with Nagata. Second match, we have Roppongi 3K against El Desperado and Kanemaru.
That will be very good.
So, yeah, that looks like it's going to be the next junior feud. Roppongi 3K against Suzuki-gun Juniors.
Yeah, well, Desperado and Kanemaru, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think they were the junior tag champions down in Noah for a while. So, they're an established tag team, and they work well together. So, I expect this to be a very good team, tag team match. I'm going to go with Roppongi 3K.
I'm also going to go with Roppongi 3K, too. Next, we have an 8-man tag, Team Taguchi Japan, Taguchi, Kushida, Elgin, and Makabe against Suzuki-gun of Taka, Taichi, Iizuka, and Suzuki.
Wait. Oh, no, that's match 4. Match 3 is Taguchi Japan and Elgin against Chaos. It's Dave Finlay, Juice, and Michael Elgin against Toru Yano, Ishii, and Jay White.
No, I'm seeing
You're on the New Japan website?
Yeah, they have Toa Hanare, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson against Yano, Ishii, and Jay White in the 4th match.
Oh, I'm looking on Wikipedia. It must not be updated. My bad. So anyways, what was the match before? It was Suzuki-gun against Taguchi Japan, basically?
Right, yeah. Taguchi, Kushida, Elgin, and Makabe.
I don't know. I'm just going to go Suzuki-gun because it seems like they always win anyways.
Yeah, I'm going to go with them also. Probably Kushida taking the fall.
Or Taguchi.
Yeah. Then, the next match, Toa Hanare, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson against Yano, Ishii, and Jay White. I'm going to go with Chaos.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chaos on that as well.
And also, Ishii had an interesting promo about Jay White. He's like, we have a new kid on Chaos. Stay out of my way.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Fifth match, we have Ghetto against Bushi.
Bathroom break match?
Right. I'm going with Bushi on that one.
Yeah, of course.
Sixth match, special single match, Yoshihashi against Naito.
That's kind of tough because I almost expect there could be the upset there. But I hope they don't do that. I'm going to go with Naito.
I'm also going to go with Naito. I mean, why would you do that?
Yeah.
All right. Now we're getting down to the top three matches. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. The champion, Will Ospreay, defending against the challenger, Hiromu Takahashi.
This has a big possibility of being like the match of the night for sure. Takahashi is always excellent in these one-on-one big title match scenarios. I haven't seen a bad match in that type of scenario yet that he's had. I'm gonna go with Takahashi to dethrone Will Ospreay on this night.
I'm gonna go with Will Ospreay. I just feel like they've told such a great story about him. You know, finally, I know technically he has beaten Skrull before, but the story was, he had a hard time beating Skrull, and he pinned Skrull in the 4-way. And then I'm kind of tired of seeing this title flip-flop around so much. I would like to see Ospreay have a little bit more of a solid title reign.
He could, but I just don't feel like the money is there with that. And with Takahashi, I feel like the same reason I thought he was going to win the title back at Wrestle Kingdom, I feel like it's time to put the title back on the king. I don't see Will Ospreay as being a dominant champion, just a placeholder essentially, even though he's one of the best workers in the world. From a storyline perspective, I see Takahashi getting what's his once again, finally, a year later.
All right, next up we have the Never Openweight Championship match. The champion, Hiroki Goto, defending against the challenger, King of Darkness, Evil.
I think this is going to be a good match.
Oh, dude, yeah. I think this match is gonna be the match that kind of surprises people.
Yeah, people are sleeping on it, and I understand why, because I'm not like the biggest Goto or Evil fan in the world, even though I like Goto a lot. But with these two dude styles, like Smash Mouth style wrestling, I think it can be very violent and very good. I don't know who's gonna win, but I'm gonna say Goto. Although if Evil took the title off him, I wouldn't really be that surprised, to be honest with you, but I'll just say Goto.
I'm also going to go with Goto. I mean, he just had a hell of a battle with Suzuki to get that thing. I can see Goto having a pretty decent long reign this year.
I don't know how long his reign will be, but I think in this particular scenario, I'm just going to say Goto. Yeah. Although, like, it might be time to elevate Evil, but it seems like he's got his hands kind of tied with the tag titles.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where his focus is, so that's why I'm going to just go with Goto, I guess.
Then the main event, we have the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Kazuchika Okada, defending against the challenger, Cold Skull Sanada.
So this, again, this is probably going to be another incredible match. That's why I'm really looking forward to this card, because you got 3 or 4 matches that just really stand out as being awesome matches. Judging from what I've seen from Sanada and Okada so far, I expect this to be excellent. Plus, they had great G1 matches in the past, so I'm gonna go with Okada. I think it would be crazy to put the title on Sanada right now. Although if they did, it's not like New Japan's never done anything like that before. I think the fan outcry would be like insane.
Dude, yeah, the internet would melt down. Well, but I'm also going to go with Okada here.
Well, think about it. Okada, like in the past year, has turned away title defenses from Evil and Naito. So, like, what would that do to LIJ if Sanada was the guy to actually dethrone Naito?
Well, I mean, you start to question leadership. We even started to see that once when Evil did pin Okada and it was getting ready for that title match. Like, you kind of feel like Evil was kind of like challenging Naito's leadership.
Well, Naito and Evil had a lot of like interesting promos during the World Tag League too, where it seemed like there was an right, because Naito
was kind of like making like speaking down of the World Tag League, and, and Evil was like, well,
Sanada
and I are out here killing this thing.
So, I mean, we pretty much had the same predictions, it looks like, except for maybe on the junior match, I'm going to suppose, at that point.
Right, yeah, that's going to be the tiebreaker.
You're going to lose.
All right, so now something we decided to do to help us for the year in awards, we decided that we were going to name a wrestler of the month and match of the month. So we're going to name our January wrestler of the month and match of the month, and we're also going to kind of go back
retroactively.
do December.
We've only been doing this podcast since December, and we came up with this idea this past month, but I started thinking back on December, and I was like, you know what? We're not too far removed. I think we should at least kind of recognize December is kind of a down month for New Japan in general, so that's probably why we didn't think of it. But for me, my wrestler of the year, or
my wrestler of December.
My wrestler of December, and we're going to open this up to not just being for individual wrestlers, but also tag teams. So we kind of looked over it and looking over the matches that took place in that month. For me, it's got to be Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Yeah, Evil and Sonata.
And I believe that's your pick too, right, Jeremy?
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this team, they dominated. They were in the World Tag League, and yes, they did have some losses during the tournament, but that all happened in November. Heading into December, they had 4 straight tournament matches, and they dominated every single one of those matches. They went undefeated at that in the latter half of the tournament. Their A-block final match with Yoshihashi and Goto was the second best match of the entire tournament. It was 4 1/4. It was incredible.
It was a really good match.
Incredible match. So, I mean, they also had one of the best matches of that entire month. Plus, they beat Guerrillas of Destiny in the finals, which was probably the biggest...
kind of an upset.
It was kind of an upset, yeah. But they beat them. And, that set them up for their road to Wrestle Kingdom. Out of the 2 tournaments that happened that month, Kitamura winning the Young Lions Cup, this definitely is the more substantial and hard-earned victory. It's a more prestigious victory in my eyes. Plus, they had one of the best matches of the month, and they win. The only black mark on their record is they lost the 6-man tag titles to Guerrillas of Destiny and Fale. But neither of those guys took the pinfall in that match. It was Bushi who got hit with the grenade and the bad luck fall, I believe. So for me, as far as performances, and then if you just want to go off of match performances and you look at Best Friends, who was in that tournament, or Death Juice, or
War Machine,
all those guys had their best matches in the tournament in the first half. The second half of the tournament, we watched it. It was kind of laborious to watch because it kind of dragged for the second half. So, I mean, for me, you really couldn't go with any other team or any other individual outside of LIJ. So for me, in the month of December, LIJ wins, wrestler or wrestlers of the month.
Yep. And then for our December match of the month, we've come to the conclusion of Yagi versus Narita from the Young Lions Cup finals.
That match was awesome.
I know. That match does not get enough praise on the internet.
Nobody knows how good this match was,
dude,
guys.
And I told you this, the best part, the reason why that match was so good was because I wasn't expecting it to be so good. These guys came out there and killed each other.
Bro, we talk about how violent Suzuki and Goto was at Wrestle Kingdom. This was literally every bit as violent as that match was.
Dude, the drop kicks, the chops.
The chops, bro.
Oh my.
The freaking tosses and the throws. That match was incredible, and I don't think it gets enough recognition. I mean, the only match that really kind of gave it a close run for its money was the
LIJ match, but
Chaos match, but this was much better. It was better than that.
Yeah,
and it was on the undercard, and it went 15 minutes to the draw, which the drama was there, the story was there. That match was awesome. If you guys haven't gotten a chance, go back to the Young Lions Cup finals and watch Yagi and Narita. It's the first match of the tournament for that night. Awesome match.
All right, now for January, the January Wrestler of the Month, we've come to the conclusion that it's Minoru Suzuki, the new IWGP Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, guys. When we started coming up with this idea, we were like, well, who's it going to be? And I think immediately we were like, well, maybe Jericho or maybe like Omega, maybe Okada, But as the month went on, like it just started becoming more and more apparent. Like Suzuki's having an incredible blowaway month. I mean, this guy's freaking on fire right now.
Right. I mean, he had the vicious match, the never openweight title match at Wrestle Kingdom with Goto,
and he lost that match. Of course, but that match was his match.
Right. I mean, that was, like 80-20, him just beating the crap out of Goto.
It was bad. It was really bad. And then the character work at the end of the match with him cutting his hair, gold. The stuff he did the next night with him and Tanahashi at New Year's Dash, setting that matchup, awesome. He went to Rev Pro.
And won the British tag titles with Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't count as much as, we kind of weigh what happens in New Japan. But, I mean, he went over there, had a 4.5-star match. Rev Pro is one of their official, partners. So we kind of lend some credibility to that. And then he just killed the ace.
And another, 4.5-star match.
And, I mean, if you're just going off star ratings, I mean, the match with Goto was incredible. So as far as high level performances for the month and high level from a storytelling standpoint, character work, viciousness and in-ring ability, nobody delivered match after match all month the way that Minoru Suzuki did. So it really couldn't have been anybody other than him. I didn't really even consider anybody else once New Beginning this past weekend happened.
Right. And now for the January match of the month, we both came to the conclusion of Alpha versus Omega. Jericho and Omega, the 5-star classic from Wrestle Kingdom.
This kind of means a bit more than the Narita Yagi match, because that match, as great as it was, happened in a down month when not a lot happens in New Japan, whereas we were overloaded with great matches this month. I mean, from Cody and Ibushi, Goto and Suzuki, Okada and Naito,
Young Bucks and Roppongi 3K, Suzuki and Tanahashi. There have been there have been a lot of really, really, really good matches this month, and none of them were as good as Y2J and Omega. We did a whole, go back and listen to our review of Wrestle Kingdom. You can hear us talk about it, but I mean, near 5 stars, just incredible match. It's definitely going to be a match of the year contender when it's all said and done. So hats off to those guys. And it looks like we're going to have a stacked February with these Road to New Beginning in Osaka, the New Beginning in Osaka. We have 2 Honor Rising shows this month as well.
And the anniversary is coming up as well.
Well, I think that's in March.
That's in March, but still right at the tail end. So, I mean, we're getting back to back events. So, I mean, it's New Japan overload right now. It's awesome.
Yes. All right, so let's jump into the news. There's a lot of news happening. And one thing I wanted to open up with was Strong Style Evolved. So, we mentioned last week about the sellout there. And they put the tickets on sale on January 29th at the 5,300-seat Walsh Pavilion in Long Beach. And, nothing was announced. No matches were announced. They just announced that it would be Naito, Omega, and Okada would be there. And the ticket site actually crashed. And the tickets, originally they said they were gone in 20 minutes. They were actually gone in 10 minutes. So many people logged in at 10 a.m. when the tickets went on sale. And the site just kept crashing.
Yeah, they, Kadani, actually commented on this, and he said if the site hadn't had issues, they would have sold out quicker than that.
Right. And then I talked to my buddy Cam Evans, shout out Cam, who lives in California. He was trying to get tickets for Strong Style Evolved, and he couldn't. So
if you guys are looking for tickets, if you go to the NJPW Reddit, there's a mega thread for ticket exchanges that with the Strong Style Evolve show. I don't know how much luck you'll have there, but it's something worth checking out.
Right, yeah, because Cam even said, like, he looked on the secondary market, but the tickets were marked up so much, he just didn't want to commit to it. From my sources right now, there's about like 300 tickets available on the secondary market with the price of $140.
There's a lot of guys, I was reading the comments on the Reddit, they were saying that, like, there's a lot, I don't know if they're still there, but there's people mentioning how, like, they were just buying tickets up because they didn't know, like, it would pop up and it took them minutes to try to even get a ticket. So when it popped up, they would just buy it because they had no other choice, essentially. So there's a lot of people who are, like, trying to exchange tickets so that they can end up in the same sections. And some people just have extra tickets because they just bought them because they just had to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's something worth checking out. If you want to go to that show, that's one resource you have. Check that out.
Right. And so about 4,700 tickets were sold for the show, while some tickets were held back for members of the New Japan fan club traveling from Japan. 4,700.
Wow.
And so that's a pretty big deal, because to put that in perspective, you look at like Ring of Honor, they've never sold more than 3,500 tickets for a total show.
Yeah.
And that was last year's WrestleMania weekend, which had the Hardys and Young Bucks ladder match.
Yeah, in North America, there's only been 2 companies that have done larger ticket numbers than this show's going to do outside of WWE in the last 18 years. Right. One was a company called FMLL that ran a super lucha show back in the early 2000s in Southern California. It was a one-shot, and it basically, they did, I think, like 7,000, something like that, at like the LA Sports Arena or something of that nature. But as far as established long-term booking companies, TNA is the only one that's done this.
Right, yeah. TNA has a record of 6,700 tickets
for lockdown in like 2013, 2012.
Yeah, so you can imagine if New Japan would have booked maybe like a 10 to 13,000 seat building, they might not have sold out all the seats, but they would have beat TNA's record.
I'm at the point where, like, I believe in that they should, if at all feasible, they should move the venue right now. They have enough time to where they could possibly maybe book another arena for that same day if it was at all possible, and get, because Kadani made comments. He said if we booked a 10,000 seat arena, we would have sold out. And I'm like, well, why don't you guys do it, man? Like, there's a lot of people that want to go to this show.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't sell 10,000 and they did 7 or 8, like, that's more money for them. They're going to be more profitable booking a bigger building like that and getting more people because of how much they do in merch and how much this kind of fan base buys so much in merch. I mean, they're going to sell the tickets plus sell like an additional average of like $30 a head in merchandise.
Right. And it's not confirmed. We talked about this last week, but more than likely this is probably going to be airing live on Access.
Yeah. So that's going to be awesome. If you guys have access, like, you got to check this show out. It's going to be incredible.
And then next, let's talk about, we're talking about all these ticket sales. Let's talk about the New Japan January attendance.
Yeah, so I have the stats here. And, cumulatively speaking for paid attendance, between the New Beginning shows, Fantastica Mania, and Wrestle Kingdom, New Japan sold a total of 61,920 tickets paid attendance. This is by far the highest paid attendance month that they've had since like May of 2015, and it might even go back further than that.
Right. I mean, it was a 20% increase from last year.
Yeah, in last year, their highest month was in August. The same month that they run the G1, they did just under 45. Their biggest month in recent years was August of 2015. August is a big month for them because they run G1. They did just shy of 52. So we're talking, an additional almost 11,000 over one of their highest months in the past 3 years. So that's an incredible jump for their business as far as drawing power goes.
Right. And then, our January match of the month was the 5-star match of Jericho and Omega. Well, with Jericho getting that 5-star rating, he became the oldest person ever to get a 5-star rating in a singles match.
Really?
At 47 years old, breaking the record set by 45-year-old Terry Funk in November 15, 1989, the I Quit match with Ric Flair. in New York.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so the top 5 historical, you have Minoru Suzuki at 44 in 2012 against Tanahashi. Stan Hansen 43, July of 1993 against Kenta Kobashi.
That match is awesome.
You have Tanahashi at 40, the August 11th match against Naito. Then obviously Terry Funk and then Chris Jericho.
You know, speaking of the Strong Style Evolved show that's coming up, New Japan recently just filed for 3 new U.S. trademarks. They filed for the trademarks on U.S. Strong Style, King of Sport, and Strong Style Evolved. So this kind of goes back into the U.S. expansion, just the fact that, like, New Japan is trying to get trademarks on their brand here in the U.S. So I'm guessing we're going to see some merch pop up and maybe some shows. Who knows?
Right. And then back to Jericho for a second. You mentioned to me that there's a possibility of him working the WWE UK tour in May.
Yeah, so he was supposed to be doing like some sort of show with I think it's called Shake Them Ropes. Have you heard of those guys?
No.
They're doing like the Paul Heyman show WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and in May they were supposed to do one of those shows. Well, they've now deleted the tweet, but they tweeted out that there were scheduling conflicts in May because of the WWE UK tour. And then it shortly got deleted, like right after that. So it's not officially confirmed, but there seems to be evidence, and we do know that like Jericho and Fozzy are going to be overseas around that same time. So it might have been fortunate for WWE and for him to be in the same area, or maybe they booked it that way. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like he might be working the May shows for the WWE UK tour.
Dude, this Jericho stuff just keeps getting more crazy as it progresses.
So, I mean, I don't know. You know, I've heard other speculation. There's a lot of people saying that, you know, we haven't heard anything from Jericho since New Year's Dash and his attack on Naito. And there are people who are like, is he even coming back at this point?
Yeah.
I think he is.
I think he is too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if either Strong Style Evolved or maybe they wait till Dominion.
Well, the rumor was that he was going to work the Strong Style Evolved tour, and I'm still expecting that to be the big, like,
announcement.
You know, the big announcement that they do. They did a big announcement this past week, and I thought that's what they were going to announce, but they didn't end up. It didn't end up being that.
Right.
But I mean, it is interesting, like that he was on Raw. Now he might be working this UK tour. Is he gonna
and then come back to work Naito?
Yeah, and then go back in May, and like he's gonna work Naito in April, and then go work WWE in May. Like, is that what's gonna happen, or maybe like Vince and Paul got in his ear and they're like, "Hey, pal,
you need to cut the Japan crap out.
It's time to come home." So I don't know, but yeah, that's some very interesting news to say the least.
And then while we're kind of mentioning WWE, Kenny Omega had some comments.
Yeah, I actually pulled up, what he kind of said. So, he did a recent interview, basically, because he actually revealed, this was he did an interview with Tokyo Sports, and he revealed to them that the reason that he didn't want to go to New Japan had to do with Kota Ibushi. So he had some comments. He said that basically in 2016, they reached out to him several times, apparently, to come over to WWE, which is kind of like a big deal. And obviously we talked about like the Golden Lovers reuniting, earlier in the show, but he had said at one point that he wanted to face Kota Ibushi in the G1 Climax Finals, but he cleared the air recently, and he said in actuality he just wants to stand next to Kota Ibushi. And he said the real Kenny is always at Kota's side, whatever that means. But he said that the real reason why he turned down the offer from WWE is because he said it had to do with Kota Ibushi, essentially. And he said, if we aren't together, there's no point. I want us to change the wrestling world together. I took belts with Bullet Club, did a lot, and that was all the job. But Golden Lovers transcends wrestling. This is real life, and as long as there's a chance for this to happen, I wasn't going to say goodbye to New Japan. So he's basically saying that without there being the opportunity for them to reunite and have some sort of storyline going forward and to make their mark on wrestling together, why would he leave for WWE, leaving this kind of business that he has unfinished,
And there was also some comments about the New Day, too, that he made.
Yeah, he posted that, too, and he said this was in Sports Illustrated. So he's talked about the same topic twice this week. And he said, when I see Big E, I clearly see someone who could be the world champion. This guy's on another level, and Kofi is one of those guys who's good in all situations and can also challenge for any title. And he's like, and Xavier's another great athlete who's talented in the ring and confident on the mic. And he said that the fact that they've been in the same spot with the company for years makes him hesitant about eventually signing with WWE. He's like, it's things like that that really make me think twice about where I would, what I'd be getting into if I did eventually go there.
So he's on that Sting mindset, like, I don't know how they're going to book me when I come in there.
And guess what? Sting was absolutely right. Look how they booked him. You know?
First match, pedigreed.
He even said when he saw Kota Ibushi's, like, when he came to help me, I had a flashback to our time as Golden Lovers. Ibushi's always been the kind of person that's hard to figure out, but I kind of understood something. And he said the real Kenny's always by his side too. And he said, like, he wouldn't go to WWE if, like, Kota Ibushi didn't come with him. So, like, you know, these guys, there's been speculations about, like, the kind of relationship they have between them. Take that for whatever that means to you.
Right.
But at the end of the day, these guys have some sort of friendship/relationship that kind of goes beyond just professional pro wrestling, to where, like, Kenny doesn't really see the point in going overseas and wrestling in WWE if Kota Ibushi's not going to be with him. He's also been outspoken in the past about how they have treated Nakamura in his time over there. And he also had some pretty crazy comments about Ibushi being in the Cruiserweight
Classic.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all very interesting stuff for those of you that want to see Kenny eventually come over to WWE. I'm like starting to feel like, are we even ever going to see that happen?
Right. I think we might not, actually. But you mentioned Nakamura. I know this is not a WWE podcast, so we had to mention, you know, the main event, well, actually, the WWE title match for WrestleMania. We have the former Chaos leader, Nakamura, against the former Bullet Club leader, AJ Styles. Nakamura won the Royal Rumble when it came down to him and Roman Reigns. And that was just a mark-out moment for wrestling fans.
Here's a little fun piece of trivia I found out this week. Nakamura did an interview, and he said up until he was in the match, he'd never watched a Royal Rumble match.
Really? For real?
For real? Yeah, so Nakamura won the Royal Rumble without having ever seen an actual Royal Rumble, because, you know, they do the, like, New Japan Rumble, but I don't think, like, Nakamura's sitting at Gorilla, like, watching these, like, young boys and legends, like, go at it, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, he won that's interesting, but, like, I'm so excited about Styles and Nakamura at WrestleMania.
Dude, the Wrestle Kingdom match,
I love their Wrestle Kingdom match.
Amazing. So if they let those guys do that,
they just need to let them go.
Yeah. Like, there's no agents, no, like, here, give them like 20-25 minutes and let them run it.
Yeah. And then, so we've got some other news coming up with featuring video game news. So we already kind of talked about earlier in the year that, you know, New Japan is partnering with Human, I believe it is. They're the ones. It might not be Human. I can't remember who it is, but whoever it is that makes the Fire Pro games. Well, they're actually going to be they have two other game projects coming up. So there's a video game series that's coming out. It's Yakuza 6, and that's like it's a game based on the Yakuza. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto, sort of. They actually have a storyline in the game where they're going to be featuring several New Japan stars as members of a rival gang in Yakuza 6. And it's like, it looks really cool, actually. So, I mean, if you are a video game fan, that might be something worth checking out. They also announced there was a big announcement that was supposed to take place the other night. Did you stay up and watch that?
I did not.
I started to watch it, but I couldn't understand what was going on.
Well, you don't understand Japanese, Josh?
No, I don't. But you know, the news broke out the next morning that Bushimo, who's one of the partial owners of New Japan, that they are going to be working and coming out with a New Japan video game that will be based on mobile in 2020.
I did see somebody tweet out like a little like screen, like videos from what the game would actually look like. It looked pretty cool, actually.
I think that those screens are from the old video game.
Oh, okay.
That they had mobile before.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. only time will tell. I mean, that's 2 years away, but yeah, New Japan has a new mobile game coming out. Who knows if it's going to be available in the U.S. or not? You probably have to do some shady stuff to get access to it. But yeah, they're working on that, so that's coming out.
Also, I have a quick injury update on my boy Kojima. So, we know it's an ACL injury, and we speculated that it happened in the match with Rush. Well, actually, he tore his ACL on January 17th. That's one of the Fantastic Mania matches that was not aired on New Japan World.
Okay.
But he worked the rest of the tour. And, obviously he worked, the first airing show on 119 and the one on 121. There was no sign of injury. And his knee wasn't even wrapped that much. But then on the 22nd show, the match with Rush, that's when we started to see that his knee was bothering him that whole match. I guess, it's a lot easier for him to hide that injury in multi-man matches, but when he was in that one-on-one match with Rush, he couldn't hide it anymore.
There are a couple other injury updates as well. So obviously we've talked about Tanahashi and how he's injured and he's taking time off. For those of you that might have been paying attention, you probably noticed Cody Rhodes had pretty serious black eye the last couple shows. Apparently he got them during the tapings they did for Ring of Honor in Nashville with who is it, the guy from the Kingdom, what's his name?
Matt Taven. Apparently there had been reports that Kenny had broken his orbital bone, but it seems like now it's just his cheekbone was broken, and that was what was causing the black eye. It didn't affect his ability to work, this past weekend. I'm sure we'll see him, on the upcoming New Beginning card as well. And I'm sure we'll see him in Honor Rising.
Yeah, so it's not too serious, but yeah, it looked pretty nasty. Also, speaking of Tanahashi, so let's talk about, New Orleans and Rev Pro.
Right, so big Rev Pro show, WrestleMania weekend.
We're going to be there. Previously announced was Tanahashi.
He's saying he's going to be there, but honestly, it's really up in the air whether he's going to...
He has dates for that, and then the next day he's supposed to work Supercard of Honor as well.
Right. But also recently announced for the Rev Pro show, the new British Tag Champ, Suzuki.
Yeah.
Our January Wrestler of the Month is signed.
I just assumed when they announced Suzuki that, not only did he take Tanahashi's title and his, livelihood, but he was taking his
bookings.
Too. Yeah, taking his bookings. So I thought that's what that was. But, Tanahashi is apparently telling people he's going to be ready by April.
Right.
I don't know why.
Also, Rocky Romero announced for Rev Pro, and Rocky Romero did an interview on Killing the Town last week, and he mentioned that he does like managing Roppongi 3K, but that's not his end game. He does want to keep wrestling, and he does not want to create a new junior tag team for himself. He wants to do singles action.
Nice. So that's pretty exciting. So we'll get to see Rocky Romero. We've seen him before in Ring of Honor Live, so it'll be pretty cool to see him there. Suzuki, Tanahashi. Speaking of Rev Pro, big match announcement. They just announced this past week that on May 11th, Rev Pro Epic Encounter, they will be running the rematch. Tomohiro Ishii versus Keith Lee Part 2.
Dude, that's going to be insane.
That match was one of, if you've gone online and you looked at any of the year-end awards that these different websites throw out, and there's no list that can be complete without listing Keith Lee versus Tomohiro Ishii. 5-star match, incredible match, and they're going to run it back in May, and I'm super freaking stoked
Keith
for
Lee
that.
is one of the guys I'm really excited about seeing live during WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, I've never seen him live either, so I'm super excited about that. So that's something to look out for. We're breaking the news to you guys here. Keith Lee versus Ishii, big deal.
And then back to WrestleMania weekend, we're going to Supercard of Honor. They announced the Festival of Honor.
Yeah, so the Festival of Honor is going to start at 1 p.m. on April 7th. So I believe that's during the same day as Supercard of Honor.
Right. It's like a pre-party, pre-game.
Yeah. So, WrestleMania weekend, they have like WWE Access and WrestleCon. They did the Festival of Honor last year where they like grilled out and did signings. I've seen online they're going to be doing a bunch of stuff like Q&A sessions, autograph signings, trivia, all sorts of like cool stuff. But they're actually going to be running the Women of Honor tournament. They're going to be having a couple semifinal matches live outside during the Festival of Honor. So that's something that's really cool to check out. And speaking of the women's tourney.
Right. Ring of Honor has been partnering with Stardom to bring in some of their women for this Women of Honor tournament.
Yeah, earlier in the year, they did a open tryout for Stardom / Women of Honor. So there's been like a budding partnership between these two companies, but it's starting to become more pronounced now that the Women of Honor is actually going to become like an established division within.
There's actually a belt. There's going to be a belt now.
Right. So they're featuring a lot of the top stars from Stardom in the Women of Honor tournament. They haven't even announced all the participants yet, so it's a very exciting thing that's happening. But I mean, if you know anything about Joshi, Stardom's one of the premier promotions that are out there, and a lot of the girls that WWE has been signing have come from that promotion, and they have a streaming service. So I mean, they're one of the more accessible. They might not be the biggest, but they're one of the more accessible Joshi promotions that are out there right now, and it's exciting to see Ring of Honor expand their partnership with other wrestling groups to that particular promotion.
Right, and also with Ring of Honor news, they recently announced a streaming service, right?
Yeah, I think it's called the Honor Club.
Okay.
Is what it's going to be. Now, there's not a lot of news about it, but you will, if you sign up for it, you're going to get all the pay-per-views, which is like really awesome. And then they're going to be airing all of their road shows, so all their house shows. They're actually going to be taping them and airing them on the streaming service.
Is the TV show going to be aired on?
Yeah, actually, they're going to do the full catalog of every television show they've ever done.
Oh, dude, they got my money.
So you're going to be able. Now, the only thing that for what's going to sell me on it is if I can get access to their full lineup of shows going the whole catalog. If the whole catalog's not there, I don't know if I'm going to buy this or not. Maybe I would for the pay-per-views, because I mean that'd be pretty dope to be getting like Ring of Honor pay-per-views coming in at like every month.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many Ring of Honor matches that I haven't seen that I want to see. Plus, with the partnership between them and New Japan, it's like kind of like must-see TV at this point now. Like whenever they do like their anniversary card or
Right, and I mean there's starting to be more crossover. We got the Honor Rising coming up, Supercard of Honors, a co-branded show. So
yeah, Supercard of Honor actually has like the New Japan logo on it,
the line mark. Yeah.
So we don't even know everybody that might potentially be showing up for that show. I mean, I did the math earlier today, so I wanted to figure out, because we were talking about the kind of attendance that New Japan is drawing for their Walter Pyramid show. And obviously we're going to the
Supercard of
Honor. And they announced this week that Kenny and Cody is going to be the main event. So I'm like, holy crap. So I started looking at the layout of the arena, and the arena seats about 89 and some change for basketball. But when you add the floor seats, they can actually do something close to like 10, essentially is like their max capacity. Right now, if you look at the way that it's set up, they have about one half of the building set up for the wrestling attendance, and then a couple small, like not quite half, but some of kind of, if you cut the whole arena in half, there's a couple sections that overlap, which probably add a few hundred seats. Plus they're running the floor. So if you figure 89, like 9,000, you cut that in half, it's like 4,500. You're probably talking about, if they sell out, maybe 5 to 6 total, somewhere around that.
Right.
Which is a big house. Now, I went online to see how many tickets were still available, and you can't find an exact number, but for all the sections that are still open, and this is on the official site, not like on resellers, but on Ticketmaster, there's not many left, honestly.
Dude, we got our tickets at the right time.
The only tickets that are left are like crappy tickets, to be honest with you. And I mean, now, one thing I will say, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about going to the show, I've done some research and reviews. Apparently, this is a really great venue for concerts and things like that. It's a mid-sized arena, so it's not like, terrible seats. Even the bad seats, from what I understand, are still considered very good tickets. So I mean, if you haven't bought your tickets, go out, and you're going to be there it's worth checking it out. Plus, NXT is going to be sold out anyways. It already is. So you guys might as well just...
And plus, the NXT prices are ridiculous on Ticketmaster. So I can only imagine what the secondary market is going to be like for those tickets.
This Ring of Honor show, I mean, they got Kota Ibushi there. They got Kenny Omega's going to wrestle Cody. Maybe Tanahashi's going to be there, plus all the Ring of Honor guys. The ticket's like $30 to $50.
Yeah.
It's going to be like worth your time to do that. And then, we're going to wake up the next morning and watch TakeOver. So that's what you guys should just do. Speaking of streaming services, one thing I just found out, All Japan Pro Wrestling is going to be launching their own streaming service as well this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're going to be running their streaming service. We don't really watch All Japan, but I will. There's guys over there I like Kento Miyahara and Bodyguard and Zeus and Suwama. So, I mean, I'll catch like their big matches when they happen, Jun Akiyama, that sort of thing. But the fact that they're also getting in the streaming game is just showing you how the wrestling industry is changing.
Right. And you also had some other All Japan news, didn't you?
Yeah, there's two things. So Yuji Nagata partnered up this past week with Jun Akiyama and...
Yuji Nagata from WCW?
So these guys are have been like longtime friends / rivals. They're kind of like frenemies. And they went over, they invited Nagata to come to their Yokohama show this past week, and they wrestled for the All Asia Tag Team titles, which are... still the oldest running tag team titles in Japan. They go all the way back to JWA, and they won the titles. So Yuji Nagata is now one half of the current All Japan, All Asia Tag Team Champions, which is pretty cool. And then on top of that, at this Yokohama show, and we're not like an All Japan show, so I don't know everything about them, but they announced their upcoming cards for, well, not cards, but like the brackets for the All Japan Champions Carnival in 2018. And if you're not familiar with the All Japan Champion Carnival, it's essentially the exact same idea as the G1 Climax in New Japan. Same idea. It's a round robin tournament. They're going to run this tournament across 15 shows from April 7th to April 30th. And in the past couple years, they've had all these shows available online. So, they've all made tapes, so we should be able to see everything. But just going down the list of guys that are out there, they have Kento Miyahara, who is the current ace of All Japan Pro Wrestling, somebody who I would love to see in a G1. Like, he's incredible. Shuji Ishikawa, who I believe won the tournament last year, and he's one of the top freelancers. He's not even an All Japan guy. Yuji Hino, who's like pretty much the ace and top star from Wrestle One. Shingo Takagi, who's never been in All Japan, and he's the ace of Dragon Gate, which is the second largest company right now in Japan outside of New Japan. The Bodyguard, Joe Doring, who's the current Triple Crown champion. Noya Nomura, Ryoji Sai. So, I mean, that's the A block. Jun Akiyama is making his return to the Champions Carnival, who is one of the OGs of All Japan and Noah. Kai, Zeus, who's one half of the tag team with the Bodyguard. They have Naomichi Marufuji, who's the former ace from Noah, who he was just in the G1 a couple years ago.
And he wrestled Okada in a title match.
Yep. Suwama, who's the former ace of All Japan. So Suwama, if you want to compare, is kind of like Tanahashi to Miyahara's Okada, essentially. So he's kind of still seen as like one of the top guys. Yoshitatsu, who from all reports is having like a banner year in All Japan, leaving New Japan.
Which is crazy because he was thinking of the joint in New Japan.
Yeah, and then James Rading, who's a former star from 01, and Yutaka Yoshi. Now, you guys might not be familiar with all of these guys by any means, but just to put this in perspective, you're talking about the top stars from All Japan wrestling the top stars from Dragon Gate, Wrestle One, Noah, and 01. And
Dude,
Big Japan.
That's gonna be that's
a stacked tournament. The fact that they're getting Shingo in matches with Miyahara, Ishikawa, and Joe Doring, those are all dream matches that have never happened before. That like, I'm all of a sudden like, dang, I'm about to watch some All Japan, like, because this
we're about to open the show up, and
this tournament sounds awesome, guys. So yeah, like if you just watch like the Western products, or if you're only familiar with New Japan, this might be a really good opportunity to see top guys from all over Puroresu right now.
Right.
Really cool.
And then the final item here about the New Japan Cup, they're going to be airing all 9 nights on New Japan World. They call it the season opener, happens on Friday, March 9th, and that will run all the way. The finals are March 21st, and there will be English commentary for the finals. And for, let me see. I think the finals is the only show that there will be English commentary for.
Yeah, I wish I would have had it prepared, but the New Japan Cup, they talked about like who's going to be in it this year already, like some of the guys that are announced. It looks like I don't have the full list in front of me. I guess we'll get more to that as time comes on, but it looks like this might be like one of the most stacked like New Japan Cups they've ever done before. And I mean, this is all happening before the Long Beach shows. And, you know, the winner of the New Japan Cup, for those of you that are unfamiliar, whoever wins the cup gets to challenge for any title that they want. So hypothetically, they can challenge for the Never title, the IC, the US, or the IWGP. Now, I mean, I would assume, and then they wrestle that champion in the main event of Sakura Genesis, which is one of their biggest events of the year. I'm assuming that the winner will challenge for the IWGP title, but you just never know.
Right, I mean, kayfabe-wise, why the heck would you want to challenge for any other belt besides the IWGP Heavyweight Championship?
I don't know. I guess if you were in the same like faction and you don't want to like, if like I don't know, Goto or Ishii won, maybe they don't want to face Okada.
Right.
But at the same time,
Jay White's changing that up.
Yeah, what if he won? That'd be crazy. But yeah, in the past for New Beginning, they've always done like tournament matches on the same nights, and then they've had basically New Japan Cup Tour shows where it was like road to shows. They didn't even air them, and they didn't have any tournament matches. And then sometimes they would only, kind of like how they did for the tag tournament, they would only air the tournament matches. It wouldn't even be live. So this is the first year where they've actually put tournament matches every night of the tour. They are essentially going to headline the tour with tournament matches every night, and just run it that way, which they've never done this before. And it's going to be live. It's going to be in HD. And these are not single cam shows. These are full production shows.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the arenas they're going to be in.
They're running big arenas.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be in Kurgan Hall. I mean, they're going to be in Nagoya. They're going to be running the Takamutsa City Gymnasium.
Yeah, so I mean, they're really like trying to do this New Japan Cup big this year, which is pretty exciting. So I mean, yeah, that's going to be awesome, and we'll get more coverage on that as time goes on. There was one last thing I wanted to talk about, because we kind of discussed it, but let's talk about this. What are your thoughts on Kenny and Cody at Supercard of Honor and like this Golden Lovers reunion?
I mean, I'm pumped for this Cody and Omega match. You know, I kind of threw out the possibility, like, what if this like Golden Lovers reunion is a swerve, and like,
yeah, I've thought about that,
to set up the Omega versus Ibushi match this year.
Yeah, like what if they're just pulling in Ibushi, like, and this whole thing's a plot, like they're basically pulling a Sting on him,
right? Like
Sting with the Four Horsemen or Sting with Flair, and they're just gonna like Omega's playing Flair to his Sting, and like he's gonna turn on him. I don't think they're gonna do that.
I don't think they're gonna. I think there's too much heat between Omega and Cody. I feel like we might get the Omega Ibushi match maybe in the G1. They'll be in the same block and have no choice but to fight each other.
I assume at some point there's going to be some major breakup between them, and that's maybe not now, but down the road it has to come. Ibushi actually had some comments on Tokyo Sport. They did an interview with him as well about this. I don't know if you saw it or not.
I didn't.
Well, they asked him like why he helped Kenny, and he said because he's my friend. And then they're like, well, are you going to be part of the Bullet Club now? And he's like, I've never belonged to a faction up till now, and I won't be in the future. So that tells us like he's not planning on
joining the Elite.
And then they asked him about reforming the Golden Lovers, and he said it ended once. So this isn't us picking up where we left off. It's a completely new start. I'm excited to see what we can do as a team now that both of us are heavyweights. I can't imagine a better tag team than us. And at the same time, we spent this time apart and did completely different things in those 3 years. How we'll do together after that time and how we'll all gel, that's another part of it. They asked him, are they going to like be a team or are they going to be like separate? And he said, we've taken very different routes, but I think that there are New Japan fans that sense a difference in level between us. I'm the only one that hasn't really made a mark or gotten results in New Japan. I'm not looking to Kenny for help in that regard. That's on me to rectify. Of course, I want to team with him, but I'm still a singles wrestler. I want to make my mark as a singles wrestler. As a tag, I'm excited to see what happens, and no doubt cool things will happen. 28 just got really interesting. So, like, I'm excited to see, like, where this storyline plays out. I don't know what's really going to happen. I don't know if anyone really does. But, like, the one thing I will say is, like, I cannot wait to see Cody versus Kenny.
Dude.
Like, I'm expecting this to be the best Cody match we've ever seen. And the fact that we're going to see it live, for those of you that aren't going to be there, go out of your way. This is the one time where I'm like, go buy a Ring of Honor, pay-per-view, whatever you got to do. If their streaming service is up at that point, like, whatever it takes, you got to see this match.
And if you are there in New Orleans, we want you to come out and say hi to us. We love to meet you guys and just, talk about wrestling and have a good time.
For me, that's a jam-packed show, and I mean, we have a lot to look forward to. We've got the New Beginning shows coming up, the Road to shows. We got New Beginning in Osaka. We've got
Honor Rising,
and then the anniversary shows, New Japan Cup, Strong Style Evolved. And this is a crazy.
And they question if we could do a weekly New Japan show. So thank you guys again for listening to another episode of Keeping It Strong Style.
How
here.
Can they find us?
They can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, TuneIn Radio. Anywhere you download your podcast, you can go to our homepage, socialsuplex.com. You can go to socialsuplex.com/subscribe, and that subscribes you to get all of our columns and podcasts delivered directly to your inbox. And go ahead and leave us a rating and review to help us get over. Keep upvoting our post in the New Japan Reddit. Anything else, Josh?
I never have anything else. You do such a good job, man.
Well, on that note, goodbye and good night. Bang!